Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the KDL. I'm State. With me, of course, is Peter, and today we continue with the Kart Rider Drift League action. Peter, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great, especially after yesterday, just coming in again, a day and then back again, just back into each other. I love it. 2 days of kart, give me more.
Absolutely, and yesterday we had a star-studded performance from some of the best competitors in the league. It was a fantastic way to kick off the KDL with Liv Sandbox coming through with a sensational win over Sensation. The solo match was fantastic too. I mean, just thrilling matches from start to finish, and today we got more action coming your way right up that alley.
Absolutely. Liv Sandbox, they really lived up to that reputation we were looking for as we go into a little bit of the team overview.
Yeah, and here we have a look at the matches coming up today. ROX Esports versus KWANGDONG FREECS should be the headliner for the team match. After that, we have Aura versus Planet. And for a quick breakdown here on the matches, we have about a month more of Team League action. And the top 4 teams at the end of that month will proceed on to the finals, competing for that 40 million Korean won first place prize.
Right, and there will also be 3 matches prepared in the post-season, which is going to be super exciting. So right now, we are just in the phase of basically getting there and seeing how these teams can really perform.
Yeah, and ROX Esports versus KWANGDONG FREECS is another one of those matches that I think a lot of players around the world are going to have their eyes on. ROX Esports, of course, has 2 KRPL players, mobile Kart Rider players, that many are curious how they're going to perform here today. And here we have the track list for Team Speed. This is, of course, how we're going to be kicking it off here with ROX in their first match.
There's a new track here, actually, that's going to be really cool seeing it, which is going to be World Tour Boostwood, which is a Kart Rider Drift exclusive for speed mode. So this will become a focal point for a lot of our teams. There's also Mine Gold Rush, Winding Slopes, Rickety Rails, and then Village Bayside Bridge Run. There's so many of them.
Yeah, 12 matches, 12 maps, my goodness, in total here for the Team Speed.
Right.
They're still getting warmed up here for the day. And all of these are just, man, so much fun. I love Gold Rush. A lot of speed you can pick up on that one. Terracotta Twister always has that drama, which we love so much. And here, Peter, we have the team item track list.
There's also another Kart Rider Drift exclusive track for the item mode as well. It's going to be World Tour Istanbul Sunset Plaza, which we got to see a bit of yesterday. We absolutely love that map, as well as World Tour Gangnam Street, which we will hopefully get to see today.
Yeah, Sunset Plaza, one of the more beautiful maps, honestly, in this map pool. I just love looking around on that one. The map design, the track design has just been so spectacular here in Kart Rider Drift. You can tell the devs are really putting so much work in to making every single part of the drifting experience the best that it can be, and we appreciate it so much. These games have been fantastic, and it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, I mean, going back into what you were saying about your love for Sunset Plaza, I mean, just look at the name, right? Sunset Plaza. It sounds
gorgeous,
romantic. It sounds just mellow. Everything you would want to see.
Yep. Here again, we had that lineup for today. ROX Esports versus KWANGDONG FREECS. A lot of people saying KWANGDONG FREECS is a team of aces here. They definitely are the favorites to take that first match. And then a little bit of a closer match here for match number 4.
Right, I mean, I'm so excited because this is going to be the first showing for all 4 of these teams here in the KDL preseason. As, of course, there will be a solo match of Group B that we got to see a bit of yesterday, in Group A being the death group. And Group B is also considered to be another death group because you look at the players and some players really stand out there.
Yeah, HoJun and NEAL in particular are just legends in their own right, and they are absolutely headlining Group B. And with as strong a group as this is, keep in mind that only half of these players are going to be advancing to the round of 16. So you got to think that HoJun and NEAL, with their reputation, with their skill, with their historic success, are probably the favorites to advance from that group. And a lot of these other players, Percent, Wave, Guard, Perfect, SUNGBIN, and Knock, they're going to be fighting for those other 2 spots unless we have some huge upset.
Absolutely. I mean, we got to see some of these players perform as a team yesterday in the Liv Sandbox lineup, and I'm honestly so excited to see the different type of play styles we'll be seeing, because we know that, some players like to stay ahead of the pack. They're like the runner of the group, while we have sometimes sweepers who will be blocking people, making sure the runners can do their job.
Yeah, it should be very fun to watch, and I think I'm especially interested in seeing in this first match how those mobile players are going to be adjusting to the PC game of Kart Rider Drift because Jong and Vega in particular there on ROX Esports are just fantastic and storied players in their own right in that franchise. Many of these Korean players have put them down as the opponents they're most interested in seeing play.
Right, I mean, that's quite a lot of words there. And I am super excited, especially for this ROX Esports lineup as we see them coming in looking great.
Yep, these guys feeling a lot of confidence here coming into this first match, and they're going to need it coming up against the KWANGDONG FREECS, one of the better teams in this league.
There it is, the roster. We can see Vega, Dudzi, Chong, Spell, and Plan Z. This is the roster of a bunch of rookies that we are looking at to see what kind of performance will they bring. Will they become the new underdogs that everyone will be talking about once we see them on the maps? You know, a lot of expectations for them.
Yeah, a lot of expectations on them, but a lot of expectations on this team as well, the KWANGDONG FREECS, who many are calling a super team here right up there with Live Esports, as the FREECS are now coming onto the stage, ready to give us a show.
Right, KWANGDONG FREECS looking great as ever. This is the team that is so highly rated by many players and fans alike. They have only a 4-man roster, which is going to be interesting, but it is a very strong one. We have World, Spear, Cool, and SUNGBIN.
Yeah, World, of course, preferring to go by World as opposed to Dog World there.
Right.
And it is interesting that you mentioned that this is a 4-man roster, as a lot of these teams like to roll with a 5th player that specializes in the item format, that will be the play caller there in the item format, but the FREECS are confident enough in their hybrid play that they think they can just take it with the 4-man squad they've assembled.
Right, I mean, this 4-man squad is absolutely strong, as first of all, we're going to take a look at ROX.
Interesting builds here. A lot of 6062s coming out of both of these teams, and surprising me, Plansy, the item ace there, going to roll with a 5-1, 5-3. So a little bit of variance here, but nothing too crazy among this team.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of specialists, that is absolutely what we expect from the specialists, coming in with their own take of the meta. So the item mode is definitely going to be one to watch out for.
I'm wondering whether the FREECS team are going to be OP or if it's just a rumor. I suppose we will find out here in this first match.
Right, I mean, you got to give it to them for the confidence, you know, being able to basically analyze themselves at being a worthy opponent for the KWANGDONG FREECS, that, you know, they're not scared. They see the history for these players, but they're like, you know what? We're building our own history right now, too, so let's just face off.
Yeah, and of course, a packed arena here.
So many fans and the players, as we get to see on the other side, KWANGDONG FREECS looking as ready as ever.
Ooh, some nice snazzy keyboards right there, man. I think that was SUNGBIN there on the right side. I want to take another gander at that.
Love it. And
as,
we see the points.
Yeah, holding up some cheerfuls of their own, cheering themselves on as we look at their item builds. And a little bit more of a mix here with 6062s for speed mode coming out of Spear and SUNGBIN. And then once they switch over to item mode, a little bit more variance there, a little bit more emphasis on acceleration and on those boosts. Is our doozy nervous?
Oh, there. Like, you know, you're coddling a baby. Like, oh, come on, you know, don't need to be nervous. I like it.
I love the banter that we have with these teams before these matches. It's some of the most fun I'm having with the team introductions here as both squads getting ready there on stage. All these audience members come out to see a show, and man, FREECS versus ROX Esports should be a fantastic way to start off the day. Everybody here antsy to get going.
Right, I mean, the fans are all here showing up, making sure that they have all the support in ROX and KWANGDONG FREECS so that they can pretty much perform their best and impress the fans with their gameplay.
Yeah, and here we have the track list, seeing the bands of Winding Slopes, Extreme Stadium. Actually a surprising band there, as we saw that map quite a bit yesterday.
Right.
With the FREECS banning Boostwood and New York Rally. Gold Rush will be map number 1, followed by Zigzag Timberland, Terracotta Twister, Rickety Rails, and then Bayside Bridge Run. So I'm personally hoping that we get to see some more fun action there on Terracotta Twister, because, you know, sometimes these pros, they're so good that they can just execute these difficult portions of the tracks flawlessly. But for me, you know, I love the drama of failure.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we have some interesting plays come over there on map number 3, and overall it should be a fantastic set.
Absolutely. You know, Terracotta Twister, we've seen the players having to go for really risky drifts, and sometimes they got rewarded and they put them ahead. But, you know, if you fall off the mat, that puts you absolutely behind.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a fine line you got to walk, right? Between whether you're going to take the greediest line possible and risk punishing yourself by either clipping a player or clipping a wall.
Right? And there was a fan saying, ROX is back. And here is a really cute birthday cake saying, today is Spear's birthday. Happy birthday, Spear.
Oh, happy birthday, Spear. Did not know that. That's a very cute drawing right there. I love that cake.
Right, I mean, it's his 23rd birthday. I believe that to be a pretty average age amongst our kart rider players.
Yeah, we got a lot of youngsters here in Kart Rider, man. Every time we get the player list and I'm glancing over the date of birth of these guys, I'm just, my goodness, I'm getting so old. All right, Mine Gold Rush will be map number 1. Let's get to it.
Here we have it, the very first race of the day. This is going to be a banger.
Yep, Dog World coming out in front here for the Freaks, but it's a tight race here on the Packers. Man, our observer is giving us some great shots there. It's a professional level shooting as we see Dog World solidifying his position. SUNGBIN doing a little bit of body blocking right there for ROX's third place player, Jung.
Right, I mean, SUNGBIN is absolutely making sure Jung does not get to participate in this race as the rank 1, and Jung being a player that had a lot of expectations on him coming from the KRPL. He's had stellar performances there, and Kwangdong Freeks leading out by 5 points right now.
Yeah, Jung able to boost ahead of the pack, but the Freaks following close behind with Spear, SUNGBIN, and World, all in the 3 following spots right there. So this head of the pack is being hotly contested.
Right, I mean, Kwangdong Freeks, they've looked uncontestable so far in this first lap. World still at that first place, and Jung proving to be a formidable runner for ROX. He is constantly at least in second place, as we see a lot of Kwangdong Freeks players coming up trying to block out the rest.
Yeah, and with Doozy coming up here to join ROX is Jung near the front of the pack. That's going to give them a little bit more breathing room, a little bit of a better shot here to solidify their position at the front of the race. As you see in the bottom left, neck and neck are the scores, 20-19, constantly changing hands.
I must say, ROX, they are doing a comeback right now. Things are getting really close in the second lap as we see Jung taking over that rank 1, going back down to 4th, but second, 3rd, 4th, it just constantly switches right now. ROX occasionally coming up, and that does put them ahead.
Yeah, World with a little bit of an unfortunate collision, gonna pull him all the way back to 7th place there after a fantastic start. And the finish line, only 200 meters away. ROX in the lead right now with 21 points to 18. It looks like they're gonna bring it. Freaks not able to get more players up in the top standings, and Doozy placing in first will secure the win there for his team. Some fantastic teamwork coming out of ROX.
That was a huge comeback for ROX, I must say, because Kwangdong Freeks looked so good in that first lap, but as soon as that second lap came, that is when the ROX was able to shine. And one interesting thing is that Dutzy noted he prefers blocking opponents over driving, but it was actually Dutzy who came in first.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows the flexibility of these players. I mean, every one of these pro team rosters is so deep that even though you have your preferred role, whether it be getting ahead of the pack and going for that first place or trying to block other opposing players to set up your teams to make plays of their own, I mean, you got to have that flexibility to step up when your team needs you to step up, and Doozy absolutely delivered.
Yeah, and going into another player that really stepped it up for ROX, once again, Jung. This is the player, you know, he was on the mobile version of Kart Rider, aka Kart Rider Rush Plus, and the adaptation from going from a mobile-based game to perhaps a PC game, it had to have been a big pressure on him.
Yeah, as we see Jung right there, right on cue with some fantastic drifting, beautiful timing coming in with that play, allowing him to secure first place in the final turns of map number 1. As everyone is ready here, a little bit of an upset on the first track with ROX.
Right, and
you gotta win.
Yeah, I mean, ROX, there was a fan cheerful there saying, ROX, let's win 6-0, and kind of like Jong this, which means in Korean, like, end it all, devastated.
All right, for Zigzag Timberland will be track number 2. The players are loading in. All right, countdown done, and the racers are off. Gunning for that top position is Doozy, Jung, and Vega. Man, ROX for a brief moment, they were holding all 4 spots as they're off to a fantastic start here, Peter.
Absolutely, Vega right now being contested by SUNGBIN, but you look at the ROX members, they are all really close to them right now in that middle position, trying to block out the members of Guangdong FREECS as best they can.
Yeah, Cool doing a great job of blocking right there, and now also coming in with some nice lines to almost pass Vega there. Vega able to hold on to his 2 spot as ROX, Jung, Doozy, and Spell following close behind.
And now we see that little shift coming into the point standings. Guangdong FREECS leading 5 points ahead of ROX right now. As soon as SUNGBIN and Cool was able to get that lead, so far they are maintaining it, and that first place and second place being secured can become an absolutely crucial factor in the victory.
Yeah, but we got some crucial turns coming up here. You see Jung trying to find a tight line to pass Cool, but Cool doing an excellent job of blocking him. Jung finally able to find an opening. Look at that drift, cutting it so close. And now Jung, Doozy, Vega holding the 2, 3, 4 spots in lap number 1.
That is super crazy. That was probably the hardest part of the map. There were so many spins there, but these players absolutely nailed the execution. As we see now, the match is really close. Guangdong FREECS still leading by 1 point. SUNGBIN is still up there in that first place position. Cool trying to catch up to Jung as well.
Yeah, and SUNGBIN absolutely has to maintain that first place position if his team's going to walk away with a win here. But Jung, just with some fantastic lines, continues to deliver here as he maintains a lead over SUNGBIN.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking really close right now. Guangdong FREECS making sure that they are still contesting Jung, that he's not having a free reign here, as we see SUNGBIN potentially taking that away. Cool coming in, and now Jung, how did he recover?
Yeah, but keep in mind that World just passed Doozy over there, so the FREECS hold spots number 2, 3, and 4. I say that, and World drops down to 7th, so the top of this pack race, even more important now, as Jung really has to make something happen again.
Right, I mean, Guangdong FREECS is leading out by a healthy amount of points right now, and you can't forget, this is the final lap.
What a mess right there, as the FREECS are going to get the better end of that trade. Big swing and momentum as the finish line only 200 meters away. The FREECS in dominating fashion going to take the top 3 spots as those final turns just went perfect for them.
Not only top 3, even that 5th spot going to World. I mean, you got to give props to them. Guangdong FREECS, this was a team that we've had so many talk about. You know, this is the team so many people are aware of, and they absolutely showed it today.
Yeah, that was some fantastic racing there. Under the pressure of the finish line being just a couple 100 meters away, they made the best possible lines through those turns. And, I mean, look at those lines. Top 3 in the race. I mean, 2011 is one of the most lopsided races I think we've seen so far here.
Yeah, I mean, it was going back and forth constantly. I remember, like, on lap 1 and lap 2, the whole time, the points kept fluctuating, and it kept going both ways. But, you know, we see here that once you give that lead over to Guangdong FREECS, it can get really dangerous because these players, once they get their positions, they cling onto it and make sure that their teamwork is perfect, doing the blocks, and making sure the runner has an easy, clear field.
Absolutely. It's a good reason why fans are calling the FREECS a team of aces, and we'll see if they can repeat on track number 3, Terracotta Twister.
Here we go, into Terracotta Twister. I know this is one of your favorite map state because it has so many crazy turns, and the risk management is insane.
Yeah, risk management is an excellent way to push it, because that really is what it feels like once you get into that indoor section here of Terracotta Twister, as it's a tight race to start things out. All these players just a couple meters away from each other, as the FREECS holding the 2, 3, 4 spots for now. Going to be happy with their position, but Spell leading the pack.
Right, I mean, if you look at the map, you do see Spell being followed up by 3 members of Guangdong FREECS right now, so ROX, they definitely have to do some catch-up and provide some help for Spell, because 3v1 is not going to go your favor usually. As we see Spell, he doesn't need fall behind World now.
Yeah, looking at the minimap, it seems like most players were navigating this well, but Spell, get caught a little bit under the water there. Oh no! Speaking of water, Doozy, nothing going ROX's way here, as the FREECS are going to solidify their position at the front of the pack.
This is absolutely just the most awful way you could imagine things going for ROX. They have fallen behind so far, and they just keep falling.
Yeah, you can see them now kind of scrambling to try to take even tighter, greedier lines to make up for some of this ground, but just not going their way as both Dogworld and Spear comfortably in first and second place. Cool, he really wants to get ahead of HoJun right now and start doing some body blocking to secure that win.
We really can't even see Spear and World at this rate. You can only see their name tags. ROX sticking to that 4, 5, 7, 8 position, and this is where things get tricky. This might be where they can pull off a sick comeback.
Maybe, but I don't think SUNGBIN's going to give them any ground right now. Spear and Dogworld so comfortably in first and second place will be able to secure that win unless HoJun is able to make a miracle play. But Peter, looking at the finish line, I think FREECS have got this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so far ahead in that top 1, 2, 3 position. As we see Guangdong FREECS securing the win with the 1, 2, 3, 8. Wow, what a performance.
Yeah, that just did not go ROX's way there in the mid-game on map number 1. As we were talking about earlier, there are a lot of very risky turns if you want to play, you know, the fine line, the tight line, navigating those difficult portions of the map, and the FREECS were able to do it perfectly, but ROX just not getting the better end of those trades.
Right, I mean, this has to be a map that ROX does need to be aware of now. We have seen that Terracotta Twister was a rocky one for them, so I am sure that, you know, Guangdong FREECS would write that one down into their head as a potential strategy against ROX in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the FREECS with their pure mechanical skill, just navigating all the difficult and treacherous portions of that map perfectly as we get a bit of a replay here of some of the action. This is where Spell got caught a little bit too wide there on that turn. And then Doozy barely missing that jump. I was talking about how Spell was in some hot water, and then Doozy literally fell into some hot water as ROX just nothing going their way.
Right, I mean, the mistakes kept snowballing, and once it went down the hill, there was no way to really recover, it felt like, for ROX. However, you know, the match is not over. The game point did not go over yet to Guangdong FREECS. So ROX, I really hope they're able to pull off something amazing.
All right, will they be able to start the comeback here on Rickety Rails? Let's find out. All right, and our racers are off. The FREECS up 2-1 overall in the speed team set as they're looking to secure that 3-1 win. World and SUNGBIN right now contesting top spots up there with Jong, Vega, and Doozy as it's a tight race here coming into the first few turns.
Guangdong FREECS, they have a pretty good lead right now. We saw a block doing a lot of damage to the players in the behind positions. As we see right now, Doozy does have a nice lead for his team. Jong trying to catch up as well and provide some assistance to Doozy.
Yeah, these are a lot of tight turns coming up. Not too many opportunities to pass, and you can see that players on both teams doing their best to try to solidify their position, maintain leads, and blocks where they can, as the FREECS continue to pile on. I mean, Cool and SUNGBIN are so hot on Doozy's tail, but ROX currently holding the top 2 spots.
Right, I mean, ROX definitely has this match a lot more in their comfort zones when they have 2 players leading the pack, but of course SUNGBIN comes in now to try to interfere with some of that, but Guangdong FREECS is still behind by 5 points. We see Spear and World at 7 and 8 right now. They do need to step it up for this third lap.
Yep, SUNGBIN losing a little tiny bit of momentum there with that collision, but Cool's gonna come in from the back and to try and pass. It's nice blocking there by Doozy as ROX for a brief moment holding the top 3 spots.
ROX looking absolutely phenomenal here as we see them. SUNGBIN, he almost fell, but he did recover with a beautiful drift. And ROX, 1, 2, 3, 5. Such a strong position for them.
Yeah, only 400 meters left to go as ROX looks to be dominating map number 4 here, and that's gonna be it. We're gonna be going to map 5 in speed mode as ROX with a bit of a comeback.
I mean, ROX definitely made sure that we got to see why these players were so heavily talked about as the rookies to watch out for. Jung and Vega coming in from the KRPL, showing that their skill in the Rush Plus of Kart Rider was not really just anything to do with mobile. They're just good at Kart Rider.
Yeah, and it's always interesting when you see players try to come from another platform, mobile, onto the PC platform and dominate. I mean, you described it perfectly. It's not just playing on that version of the game. It's raw skill. It's knowing how to take the best lines. It's having strategies. It's understanding when to block, how to make plays. And ROX giving the FREECS a run for their money. The FREECS, a team of aces, but up against the ropes now as we're on match point, getting ready for map number 5.
Say what's really important here is that Guangdong Freaks, they're not as strong in item mode as ROX. So Guangdong Freaks really wants to take this final match point against ROX while they're still on that speed mode.
Fantastic point. There's a lot on the line here. Winner will win the set. Bayside Bridge run.
This is going to be the final match point, so everything is on the line for our players. Vega leading the pack really beautifully with those drifts right now, and Guangdong Freaks, Spear and Cool following not too far behind.
Yeah, it's a tight race here at the start of this two-lapper as Vega currently in the lead. Spear and Cool, though, they definitely have potential to run away with this thing if Vega gives them any room, excuse me. Guys, we're now drifting onto the bridge, trying to build up nitrous as fast as possible here to maintain those constant boosts. And this is something that the Korean scene, especially in Kart Rider Drift, does so well. You watch these guys play and it feels like they're literally never running out of nitrous with how capable they are of building tension, succeeding with their drifts. Just spectacular as the Freaks right now solidifying their position.
Right, I mean, Freaks has a really solid lead over this match. And I have to point out, it might be because Jung, he hasn't been at the front of the line for a while. You see him at the 5th place. And Jung was a player that stated he always has a style of pushing ahead, but not really being able to find that so far this match.
Yeah, and Spear and World doing a good job of, causing some problems here for both Jong and Spell, who are trying to close the distance there on SUNGBIN, but you see that distance, it just keeps growing larger and larger, and for SUNGBIN, you're almost in time trial mode right now with this breathing room your teammates have given you.
SUNGBIN absolutely looking flawless right now, but Jung is trying his best to catch up. This is the guy that we want to see at the front of the pack. We see Spell coming in as well, but so far it's not enough because Guangdong Freaks, they are 9 points ahead, and this is looking dicey for ROX.
The Freaks are just playing such great defense right now. You see World doing everything he can to cause problems there as Jung gets pushed back, and the Freaks holding 3 of the top 4 spots with a finish line 200 meters away, Peter.
I mean, it looks to me like Guangdong Freaks has this one in the bag. 11 points ahead. What a showing from a team. We expected them to perform well in the speed mode, and they absolutely delivered.
Yeah, SUNGBIN ran away with that one after map number 1, and his teammates World and Spear did such a fantastic job of playing defense, giving him the room he needs to firmly secure that 1 spot. And then towards the end of the track, they just full sent it. They were able to deliver the points there for their team, and an almost sub 150 time here, as it just shows how SUNGBIN was really able to play his game.
Great record showing from SUNGBIN as we see the final results being locked in. That is going to be 3-2. It was a very close match between the two teams. So I'm really excited to see what more can ROX bring to the table. And I'm sure their morals are not down because they know it could have gone either way.
Yeah, ROX definitely made a show of it. That was a close race, and we went all the way to track number 5 when a lot of people are saying that the Freaks are arguably one of the top 2 teams in this league, if not the top team. So fantastic showing from them. You gotta be riding that confidence coming into item mode, bringing in your item specialist to get a bit of the replay from this action.
I mean, it was just SUNGBIN's show all along with World and Spear just following right along, being that, imagine you're just trying to lead the pack and you just look behind you and there's not a single enemy in sight. Yeah. You have 2 of your teammates. That has to be the best feeling ever.
Yeah, you got to know the team comms are very happy, very comfortable there with that position as they just played it flawlessly.
Right, and now we will be looking at Plansy coming in as the item specialist for ROX Esports, and Vega will be the one to sit out.
Yeah, so we'll see what Plancy's going to be able to bring to the table. Keep in mind, the Freaks, they only are running a 4-man roster here, so they're not subbing in an item specialist for a speed specialist. It's going to be the same 4 players, World, Spear, Cool, and SUNGBIN coming out from them. And ROX, you got to think that bringing in that item specialist to IGL, they should have at least some advantage from that, right?
Absolutely. That is definitely the point that we are looking for. As we take a look at some of the track lists for the item mode, we do have Forest, Mushroom Caves, Gangnam Streets, London Night, Icebreakers Pass being banned out.
Yep, Cogwheel Crush going to be map number 1, followed by Magma Cavern, Polar Half Pipe, Pharaoh's Pass, and potentially Istanbul Sunset Plaza if we go to a track number 5 as we did in the first speed set.
It is definitely going to be a really strong showing coming out of ROX in this game mode because Spell and Plansy are the 2 hybrid players for the team. So they are known for being really great at both item mode and the speed mode. So now they're going to be absolutely packed with players who feel comfortable in these tracks.
Yeah, you got to think that this is going to be ROX's comfort zone, right? And after having a very close finish against the Freaks, 2-3, in the first best of 5, I mean, just ride a little bit of that momentum. You're already showing a great performance here against a top team in this league. You know, bring out your item ace, carry that weight with you, try to walk away with a win and force an ace match.
As we see this sign from a fan, it's really cute. It's spamming all over the place saying, you have to hold on no matter what, you have to hold on. It's written like 100 times.
Yeah, they need that tenacity here. Does ROX Esports, as we're going to go to track number 1 here in item mode, Cogwheel Crush.
This will be the first item mode track of the day as we see Spear leading out, but Clancy is also there. Oh, going for the items.
Yeah, SUNGBIN slowing down a bit, wants to pick up 2 items there, make sure he gets maximum value to provide some utility for his team, as there are a lot of different obstacles here on Cogwheel Crush. These players have to look out for as Doug dropping down, and I mean, the depths of strategy that are coming in here, you know, when we see players drop down like that, you know, in speed mode, obviously you think, okay, something is going wrong, but with the level of skill that these players operate at, you have to think that, okay, they're trying to do something to control the midfield to set them up for that final late game push, because here in item mode, it's not a point-based system, you know, where you can have a 1-2 win or a 2-3-4 win. It's whoever finishes the track first.
Right. So we do see right now.
Look at that. The Freaks all waiting patiently for that speed boost. That's going to put 4 of their players briefly at the top of the pack. So maybe getting a little bit of an idea here of the Freaks' plan.
As we see Spear, SUNGBIN, and Cool falling back to gather some more items, because if you look at the item list for Guangdong Freaks, you know, they did pick up that Angel now. They need more items because this is the final lap.
That is the final lap, and we have seen combination of either Angel Shield, Individual Shield, and Nitrous coming through in the clutch and delivering wins for various teams here on day 1. So you got to think that these teams are going to be trying some of the same tactics here on day 2, as, I mean, honestly, it is just pure chaos at this point.
You look at Dutzy on the map to the right. He is so far ahead. SUNGBIN doing whatever to catch up, but he got hit out. And now Guangdong Freaks trying their best to catch up to Dutzy. There is Cool, though. He is very close right now.
Yeah, Cool's the only player here, though, for the Freaks, which has me a little bit worried. Competing over here with the players of ROX is...
Wow.
Cool. With that boost, actually going to have a nice lead, but he does get zapped.
No.
Finish line 200 meters away. Jung and Spell leading the charge, and Jung's going to be the first one to cross the line, as Cool had all of the weight in the world on his shoulders, but there was not enough utility for the items to protect him in the last critical moments, and ROX is going to pick up track number 1.
Cool almost had it. You know, there were the 3 gates, and the middle one you mentioned to me earlier. You have to wait for the perfect timing to enter, and if you do get it, then that gives you a really nice boost. And Cool, using that, he was able to get the first place, but John, he came in so clutch.
One of the unique features here on Cogwheel Crush, and personally one of my favorite parts of it, you know, you go to the official YouTube channel here for Kartrider Drift, and there's some videos where they talk about the map design, all the thought that goes into not only designing the world around the track, but also the features of the track. And Cogwheel Crush, definitely one of those fantastic maps where, you know, that gate opens where it closes, and you get that fantastic feeling of barely making it in at the right moment. And they try to make a play there, the Freaks, using that boost towards the finish line, but Cool just not able to make anything happen there as ROX securing the win.
And this was absolutely needed by ROX, because ROX is the team that we mentioned constantly as having multiple item specialists available, while Guangdong Freaks, they are pretty much locked in with that 4-man roster. We know these players are good at speed mode, but item mode, that was a question mark.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get to this skill level, and certainly you're going to be good at everything you do in Kartrider. You know, these guys practice hours and hours every single day, but you're absolutely right. The Freaks, they are speed specialists. They would love to close this thing out right here, right now in item mode, but, you know, after winning the first best of 5 set on speed, you got to think they're going to also be comfortable going to that ace match.
Right, and the next map we have here is going to be Mine Magma Cavern.
Racers all lined up, countdown started, and off we go here on Magma Cavern. Another 3-lapper here in item mode as Spear gets denied any items. A little bit sad about that.
This is going to be a really long one because it's a 3-lap, so there's going to be a lot of strategy coming in, more focusing around the itemization, and wow.
Yep, a little bit of rockets coming in there, and also a Wisp as Plan's just not having the best time in the world, but you know, we often see these shakeups happen here on item mode in the early game as Zogworld will get caught there by the UFO, slowing him down just a bit as the barricades come up. But you know, item mode is very often defined by item utility and team placement heading into those final moments we saw on the previous track.
Right, I mean, item mode is just basically really silly at the start. We saw Spell getting blasted like almost 3 times in a row with the bomb, as we see Jung, you know, he's making sure that World knows that he is there to contest him when that 3rd lap comes. You know, you can't all be behind. You still got to play a role. Some players are going to be at the front, some players are going to be at the back.
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head there, as it's not all about speed. As you see, Cool, for a brief moment there, just, you know, hitting the brakes, letting loose on the accelerator, just providing some space. As long as you're within striking distance from that first place, as you see, Cool, I mean, instantly 1 nitrous and he's right up here in first.
Right, and we see right now Guangdong Freaks, they do have a lot of players in the back coming to the front, so ROX definitely going to need to be careful because this is the final lap.
Spell with some hardcore blocking there as the race continues on here in the final laps, coming into the first turn here on Magma Cavern with the Freaks in kind of a nice position. Spear, Sungbin, and Cool leading the charge, and we'll see if ROX is going to be able to utilize items in a way that allows them to close the distance.
This is absolutely disastrous for ROX right now because the last time Guangdong Freaks had so many players in that 1-2-3 position, they were absolutely relentless as we see them coming in and locking in that 1st place finish.
Yeah, at some point there in the 3rd lap, the Freaks were just able to pull away from the pack, and I didn't know exactly what was going on in terms of the item utility situation there for ROX, but they just weren't able to close the distance. So some fantastic defense there by the Freaks, just coming through the win and tying the score up 1-1.
Freaks absolutely needed this win. This is going to be a huge time buyer for them as they want to playing in more of the maps that they are comfortable in. And this map here, Mine Magma Cavern, was clearly one of them.
Yeah, fantastic strategy there coming out of the Freaks, but I gotta say, I love the chaos of item mode, but oftentimes it feels like, especially in the early and the mid game, it's like you're watching players play 5-dimensional chess.
Yeah.
And you're trying to follow along with the moves. Like, you'll see Cool slow down, and it's like, okay, well, here's a water balloon coming up, so obviously he's trying to avoid that, but what else is at stake here? Like, how else is he posturing to help his team? I mean, there's so many different items, not only defensive, but offensive here in item mode, and just straight up boosts like the nitrous that it's so difficult to analyze exactly what's going on, and it's one of the reasons why ROX, with their item specialist coming in here, you got to think that they have an edge, but the Freaks able to tie it 1-1, coming into Glacier Polar Halfpipe for map number 3.
Let's get this race started. As we see, Spell had a fantastic lead there, but we see SUNGBIN now coming in, and of course this is going to be another 3-lap map, so we're going to have to see how these players are going to basically gather items. You know, is it going to be the double shield or is it going to be the nitrous coming in?
Yeah, and the main thing looking out, yeah, it's actually a very good point that you say the double shield with the nitrous, because as we saw on day 1, that wombo combo of the defensive ability of the shield, or perhaps even your teammates having an angel shield, coupled with your lead player having a nitrous, can just absolutely secure the bag there at the end of the track. But, you know, it's easy to theory craft that in a vacuum, but whether you're actually able to roll the dice and get your pole position player to have those items in that key moment, it's kind of up to fate. So as a team, you need to do your best to posture and give yourself every potential opportunity to play whatever hand you're dealt, so to speak.
Absolutely. As we see the players, you know, they are trying to get rid of all the items, but of course Angel is being held on to by World, Cool, and Spell. They're definitely making sure that, you know, when a teammate calls out, hey, I need help, you know, a water wisp is coming at me or a water bomb, they are there to press that item button.
Absolutely, and you got to also prioritize when do you use it, because you can't use it to defend against every single attack. You have to be able to prioritize attacks on your lead players. As we SUNGBIN right now, holding the lead here with World right behind him for the Freaks. Doozy and Jung, the lead racers here for ROX as we head into the final lap.
I mean, this is going to be obviously the map and the lap where a lot of actions happen. We see World trying to take over Jung, and it's no!
Oh no! World with a bad collision there, and that's going to put a lot of pressure here on his teammates as Jung, no items to his name right now.
500 meters.
Only 500 meters away. Jung does have double shield, but will he be able to boost through it? Look at the nitrous on SUNGBIN. That might be enough to get this.
SUNGBIN looking really good right now as he speeds up right into the finish line. Kwangdong Freaks is going to love that win. SUNGBIN, what a performance.
Yeah, having that nitrous there at the last critical moment just secures the win there for the Freaks as they're going to win map number 3 and go up 2-1 here in the best of 5 item mode. Now on match point, not just to win item mode, but to win the entire match.
You love to see it. You know, Kwangdong Freaks, we kept basically complementing their ability to play the speed modes really well, but they are definitely showing up here today. They are saying, hey, we are also good at item mode. We don't need an extra player because our 4 players are capable of playing everything to the highest level.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the roster, SUNGBIN, Cool, World, and Spear. It's no surprise that they're confident in their abilities regardless of the mode. These are world-class players on a world-class stage here, and they're showing why they don't need an item specialist. They're coming up here against ROX, another star team, and it's just been fantastic play for them, in and out. I mean, this was a little bit of an unfortunate bounce there for the Freaks, but overall, everything just spectacular.
For sure, you can say that again because, you know, item mode, we always talk about the different strategies that can come in, making it so that there's just so many variables. You can never expect which player is going to be leading and all of a sudden fall behind. As we saw, you know, a little bump can absolutely set you back.
Certainly. All right. Next map coming in will be Pharaoh's Pass. Will the Freaks be able to close it out with a win? 3, 2, 1 goes the countdown, and the racers are off as we have another 3-lapper here. Spear and Cool. We'll see if they're able to come through in the clutch for the Freaks once again. SUNGBIN slowing down. We'll be able to pick up an Angel Shield and a Nitrous to close the distance with the pack as players just kind of filing out.
Absolutely, as we see Jung, of course, trying to stay in the front. We know that's his play style, to make sure that he is in the lead for his team. So whenever he's needed, he can just maybe use a Nitrous that he picked up and go first right into the finish line. But right now, it does seem ROX is falling behind a bit. Maybe they want to pick up more items because they don't feel like they have enough at the moment.
And Spear right now, the lead racer here for the Freaks, just keeps picking up water balloons. So he's occasionally just throwing those away to cycle to try to get something a little bit better for his position there at the front of the pack right now. As Doozy and Clancy, the item specialists for ROX, are right behind him.
Absolutely. Spear looking really good. I love that combo he has right now with the shield and Nitrous. He does decide to use the Nitrous though. Now it's a double shield. He's looking at playing a bit more defensively. I would assume that might be because Kwangdong Freaks, they don't have much Angel right now, but now they do. Look at World. He's got 2 of them.
And that was some nice timing actually there for Spear as the UFO came in. He popped the shield to defend himself and at the same time picked up an item with a new free slot. So it's going to be World here and Clancy right at the front as we're finishing lap number 2. A little bit of blocking there. Clancy's not going to mind that too much. And keep in mind, it's not necessarily about the position of these racers as they're coming around the end of the track. It's what items they have, what items their teammates have, and what kind of combination of usage of those items coming into the finish line will be able to deliver a win.
But now there's not a lot of time to get those items you want because this is the 3rd lap. So now it's definitely a lot more important to be at the front of the pack, as we see Jung with the beautiful drift there coming in hot, but their spell as well. This is going to be really close. There's only 200 meters left.
Yeah, 100 meters away right now, and World looks like he's going to be able to secure it there for the Freaks, as the Freaks, the Speed Masters, are also item masters without an item specialist, as they're going to win 3-1 in an even more convincing fashion than they did in the speed mode.
For sure. I mean, Kwangdong Freaks, this team is looking impeccable right now because they won the solo mode, and you know, we were hoping that the item mode was going to be a place where they maybe struggle. That's where their shield starts to break apart. But that was clearly not the case. You know, we have to give props to Kwangdong.
Yeah, just fantastic play from top to bottom, not only in speed mode, but there in item mode. You know, ROX, they were off to a great start when they won their map. You kind of could see the strategy coming into play, but the FREECS just able to deliver on nearly every other situation, especially there at the finish line. It felt like they always had a Nitrous in the pocket. They always had a player with a shield ready to use it towards the front of the pack. And just phenomenal stuff coming out of the FREECS. This is one of the teams that you really want to keep an eye on here as we progress through the KDL preseason.
You can see there's many fans are keeping an eye on the players as well, making sure to bring in the cheer poll like this, wishing a happy birthday once again.
Yep, happy birthday to our players.
Changhyun, Spear.
Changhyun Spear, of course. We're very happy with that as the FREECS move on. 3-2 set win in speed, 3-1 win in item mode. Going to be a 2-0 match score overall as the FREECS proving why they are one of the most hyped teams in the world of Kart Rider right now.
And this was definitely a hyped up matchup because ROX and Guangdong FREECS, this was going to be the first instance of pro teams facing off against each other in the KDL of the preseason. And I must say, ROX, they didn't go down easily. They definitely threw up a lot of punches back, especially in the speed mode. It was a really close match, 3-2, and even in the item mode, they were able to take a set away from the Guangdong FREECS.
If the FREECS weren't able to pull away in the final moments there on map number 5 of speed mode too, you really felt like ROX had a chance, but the FREECS just playing fantastic defense on speed and utilizing some great strategy as well there in item mode will secure that win. And I like what you said though, ROX, they definitely showed up today. They showed a lot of potential coming up against a hard-hitting team here in the KWANGDONG FREECS, and they've got a bright future ahead of them, man. This is just, you know, their first match ever here in the KDL is Kart Rider Drift. It's brand new game, brand new season. There's a lot to look forward to.
For sure. I mean, ROX, they are really famous, especially for their player Jung, and I feel like the fans of Jung are going to be happy with his performance today because he did look really good. A lot of the times when ROX needed a player to lead the pack, Jung was always there today to make sure that ROX knows they can have a win. You know, Jung is just going to go racing past that finish line.
Yeah, Jung definitely a legend in his own right, and we'll see how his transition to Kart Rider Drift continues on the PC. I mean, that's not an easy one to make, but he looked very strong on his team today.
Yeah, and there's also Vega, right? He was also a player coming in from the Kart Rider Rush Plus League, and I really, really enjoyed watching them perform today. I have a lot of expectations for them, but of course, once again, going back to Guangdong FREECS, you know, there were a lot of players here that we've already seen, like Cool from yesterday. This player is always making sure he's a threat to his opponents. He's just looking really good on form.
Yeah, he's very versatile. I mean, he can run away with the best of them when his team needs him. He could play great defense as well, and it feels like, you know, to play a pun, he always keeps his cool under pressure. I mean, he delivers for his team when they need him the most, time and time again, and he's a big part of why people are saying the FREECS are one of the best teams in the KDL, and therefore the world, because, man, Kart Rider, we're off to a great start here. I'm just so happy. The match is, like, we're only here in day 2, right? And they've just been spectacular from start to finish.
Absolutely. I mean, going back into what you were saying earlier about Cool, you know, he said he's good at all the tracks and he's definitely showed it today. You know, and there's another player here, Spear, you know, his birthday, and he got a win right on his birthday. So that must be a great feeling, you know, carrying on the happy momentum.
Happy momentum. Yeah, I like that a lot. He's got to be feeling really good about that too. And you know his teams want to deliver a victory for him as well here on his birthday. So happy birthday to you, Spear, and congratulations on the win. As yeah, that's gonna wrap up match number 1 here today.
Yeah, I mean, that was a perfect way to open up today. And there's of course going to be more matches coming in, right? We're not even close to half done with the day yet. I really want to see though the final set 3, the ace mode, you know?
Yeah, I love solo speed. It's absolutely my favorite mode. I mean, you know, coming from an RTS background myself, I'm a 1v1 player, and guys, I'm sorry. Yeah. I lost my train of thought there for a moment. But yeah, coming from an RTS background, I love 1v1. And so here in Kart Rider Drift, to me, that translates into solo speed. And so, you know, when I'm playing back at home, that's my mode, you know? I don't want to be queuing up for solo queue in team mode and then dealing with, you know, the trials and tribulations of that. I much rather be playing in solo speed. So yeah, my favorite mode as well. And there's some really star-studded players in solo speed today too.
Right, and another point to solo speed, it is going to be a 1v1. So I feel like that has a lot more emphasis on your skill instead of 8 players because, having 8 players, it adds a lot more diversity to the amount of times you might get blocked out of the way. Maybe you're drifting, but you might not get the full speed because there's someone ahead of you. But in a
Right.
1v1, that doesn't happen as much.
Yeah, solo speed really is the ultimate speed mode because, as you said, the people that play, sweeper roles or more defensive roles there in team speed, they're not just going to finish the track as fast as possible. That's not their objective. Their objective is to help their team accumulate the points they need to win. And oftentimes that means, colliding with the other guy, slowing down the opposing team's top racers. And that's why it's always such a thrill to see these players, try to play their full potential in solo speed mode. So, we have a great team match with Aura versus Planet coming up next. And then after that, we're going to have the solo speed mode. And all around, it's going to be another great day.
Yeah, Group B is going to be absolutely a pleasure to watch. Group A yesterday had so many turnarounds. I remember we thought that Insu from yesterday was just going to win the match because he was so ahead. But actually, it was Hyunsu that managed to take over the lead at the end, and that was crazy.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to be going to a break. When we come back, more Kart Rider Drift action. And welcome back to the KDL. We are getting ready to continue with our team match portion of this event with Aura versus Planet. Should be a close match, should be a thrilling match here.
Absolutely, you know, Aura is a team that have basically been really known for recruiting one of the best amateur player, if not the best Navi. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing what Aura will bring to the table today. And Planet is also known for some really cool members.
Yeah, as we see the Team Aura coming out onto the stage right now, the players being introduced here to our lovely studio audience.
Right? I mean, Aura looking really good here coming in today. There's going to be definitely a lot of expectations on the players. Navi, Nok, Hero, Seas, and Tech.
Yeah, and you can see Hero right there. The runner on this team will be the one trying to lead the charge there towards the end. And talking a little bit here about Take, he's the player that I am most looking forward to watching here because he's an old person like me. Born in 1992. We're actually 2 days apart, our birthdays. So I was very happy to see us 30-somethings can game too.
And he is a player with a high understanding of item battle, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as we see Planet coming in, looking very good. I love the smiles on their faces, just really excited for the match we can see.
Yeah, always good to see players looking comfortable, looking confident there on stage as, you know, competing online or training online, playing ladder, that kind of thing is something different entirely when you come to a live stage. The audience just meters away from you, you know, the crowd is just surrounding you. There's a lot of energy in the building, and oftentimes players can crumble under that pressure, but Aura and Planet both seeming pretty comfortable on stage. Lots of smiles here as they step into their booths, getting ready to game.
I love that point you made. Definitely there's a big difference in the performances between offline and online, and
wow, about as standard as it gets here for Team Aura. Nothing but 6-0-6-2 on the builds.
You can say that again. Standard as ever.
We got some flyers here.
Yeah, there's fourth, Che Seung-hyun, third. I think they are just saying who is the oldest. We have Tech, who is the oldest.
Yeah.
So he's like the big brother of the team.
Yep. Yeah.
Ooh. Isn't this another team spot? Says Aura to Planet.
I just love the banter that come out of these teams, man, so much. There's so much personality here on these Kart Rider teams. I love these little snapshots. You know, a lot of team leagues, even when they happen live, you don't really get to see this kind of personality side of the players. But here at the Kart Rider Drift League, we are all about it, man.
Absolutely. Aura, we get to see, or sorry, I mean to say Planet, we get to see.
I love that shirt there too, little spaceman on him, right there with the lens.
It's a really cool logo. I love it. As we see another 6-0-6-2 for the speed side, but for the item side, we are seeing only Minsik coming in with the 5-1-5-3.
Yeah, 5-1-5-3, so shaking things up a little bit there. Acceleration, of course, a lot more useful there in item mode when you're getting slowed down so often there.
Yeah.
As they say, Mystic reunited here in KDL. What kind of surprises will these familiar faces bring as Mystic, one of the most storied teams in Kart Rider history? A lot of players reuniting here to compete in Kart Rider Drift.
For sure, they absolutely dominated that year 2020, and now we see a little message from Planet saying we will take our team's first victory here. This one is very wholesome.
Yeah, not really throwing shade at the other team, but instead just kind of quietly building up themselves. I like it, I like it. Nice and humble there. As Peter, we have the speed track list.
We have bans coming in onto the Village, Bayside, Bridge Run, as well as Boostwood. There's a lot of bans being placed on Boostwood. Players are not really comfortable with that. There's Mine Winding Slopes, Boom Hill Tunnel as the final ban.
Yep, and we will be starting on World Tour New York Rally for track number 1, followed by Rickety Rails, Terracotta Twister, Zigzag Timberland, and Gold Rush. I feel like almost every single series we are seeing Terracotta, Zigzag, and Gold Rush. Man, these players love it. I love them too. Honestly, the map design, the track design, pretty much across the board here in Kart Rider Drift is just so much fun.
For sure, and we can't forget Zigzag Timberland. This is a name that we keep seeing played. You know, not a lot of bans being put on the map, so that is interesting to me because when we're seeing a map a lot, that usually means a lot of players are comfortable on it. And so far, you know, this map has been unlocked, just free to go.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes if you have a map that might have some unique features that perhaps one player feels very comfortable with, especially if it's like a runner who's gunning for first place, you're going to want to snipe that away from the opposing team and not give them a chance to let their top players shine. So a lot of strategies coming in as more cheerfuls here in the audience.
Right, we saw some cheerful for Nock. There is for Hero, Planet. You know, fans are definitely here today supporting their favorite teams. And I really hope that these teams are able to show a great performance to the fans because this is their first showing.
Absolutely. First, a lot of firsts here at the KDL opening weekend as we're going to map number 1 here in this best of 5 World Tour New York Rally.
Here we go. We are opening the first race between Planet and Aura. We get to see a little bit into the standings. Nock standing at rank 1. However, there's a lot of members from Planet following closely behind.
That's a very tight race here at the front as these players need to kind of skirt around this little roundabout here. Taking these turns nicely as we're drifting into the next section of the map. Keep in mind, New York Rally is a one-lapper. It's a long lap, but this placement here at the top of the track order is going to matter a lot.
For sure. I mean, that's definitely a really interesting that you pointed out there. As we see Planet, they are feeling really good right now, 7 points ahead. We need the members from Aura, C's and Navi to step it up, especially Navi, a player that was referred to as the best amateur player.
Yeah, but with Nock and Hero so close to contesting the top spots here, Aura's got to be feeling quite confident about that. If they're able to secure number 1, number 2, but Hero with a little bit of a collision there, loses some momentum. Navi now, the weight's going to be on him to try to secure that 2 spot with Nock.
Aura coming back strong. They are now 3 points ahead. You know, this is going to be really important right now. We see Hero and C staying behind, making sure to lock down Scarlet, Minzig, and Acid Fly.
Yeah, and overall for Aura, the teams are looking good, but they really need to secure that first place spot to bring the win home. It feels like at this point, whichever team has their player cross the finish line first will be the team to walk away with a victor as we have 500 meters left to go.
This is going to be a close one.
It's
Planet
so close.
Is leading now by 5 points.
Yeah.
Aura, they were not able to find the comeback angle. Man, that was really close up till the end, but Planet was the one who's going to come out ahead of this one.
Yeah, clutch there by Mari coming through there with a finish, but overall, Planet was just playing so solid that even if Mari was going to drop into that number 2 spot, I think they would have walked away with the win there as they just dominated the midfield. Besides Aura's top players, pretty much everyone there was near the bottom of the track. You see right there on your screen, Hero in season 7 and 8. And if you're going to if you're going to top that first place player, you want to have at least positions, 2, 3, potentially 4. As Planet is going to take map number 1.
1, 4, 5, 6 was the position for Planet, looking really good already on their first map today. So I am sure the fans of Planet are going to be excited to see how they perform in the next one. Whereas, of course, Aura, this is a team that definitely has a lot of expectations on them. So we are not too concerned. They only dropped 1 match. I'm sure we're going to see some crazy things coming out of Aziz, who is a sweeper for the team. He's been fantastic with those blocks.
Yeah, these teams coming into this one, a lot of people saying that they are quite evenly matched, so we'll see who's able to come away with a win in this series. Of course, we're only done with 1 track, a lot of maps left to be played here.
And we see the fans for Navi and Aura, just a lot of support coming in. We appreciate that. Thank you, fans.
Yeah, it's lovely having a live audience, this packed, this impassioned, this excited for the games as we're gonna go to Rickety Rails for track number 2. All right, and the racers are off here on this 3-lapper. Hero and C is getting the biggest piece of the pie right now, holding first and second place as they're going to try and block and do their best to hold on to it. But, man, this story just keeps happening with these extremely tight starts. It feels like anybody can make a move.
Aura feeling pretty good right now because C's is the player as well as Hero. Hero's the one that likes to stay firmly in the top ranking. So Aura's game plan is definitely going exactly where they wanted to as they are sitting about 9 points ahead of Planet.
Yeah, and you see C's right there trying his best to block Scarlet, not allowing Scarlet to gain any ground there on Hero. Scarlet actually with a little bit of an unfortunate bounce there, but Acid able to boost. Scarlet back up to speed.
Playing really close right now. However, Planet, you know, Minsik is sitting there at 8. Scarlet, Mari, Acid Fly at 4, 5, 6. They definitely got to step things up, and they do have the time right now. This is only the second lap, so someone needs to find a way to block this defense combo of Hero, Seas, and Nog just sitting so comfortably in the top 3.
Yeah, Nock just playing a little bit of defense right now. Of course, if Aura is able to secure that first and second place spot, they will be walking away with a win here on this map. So right now, all eyes on Na'Vi and Nock to provide defense, and Planet just feels like they're falling further and further behind. Acid Fly trying to make a play right here, but Nock once again with a nice blocking, and Acid Fly is going to drop it into the water.
Acid Fly was the player that Planet was looking for, but
yeah,
Planet...
that's it. You can tell Planet...
No.
They've just lost all momentum here as Aura's going to walk away with this one. Things not going Planet's way, and that's going to be a clean sweep, about as good as it gets, 29-10.
There's very happy high fives going around. I mean, after such a dominating finish to that race, you have to be happy with yourself. You know, a lot of times when you play games, it's not very common that you say to yourself, oh, I've done perfect this time. But I'm pretty sure that that's what Aura can feel about themselves right now in this match.
Yeah, that's just one of those fantastic moments where, you know, everything went according to plan. Hero and Seas, they were able to pull away from everybody. Hero even setting a new record here on this map, as Nock and Na'Vi playing fantastic defense there in the midfield, not giving Planet any breathing room, and that's going to tie it up 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, Na'Vi's definitely a player that likes to let the team's front runners go and support the team's rear runners, and he's done that so well for Aura. So now the question is, you know, Planet, after this, can you come back? You know, is the mental okay?
I think it's all right. I mean, some things don't go your way, and that's just, you know, that happens sometimes, right? It's still 1-1. Instead of a best of 5, it's now best of 3. So we get a replay of Nock just with spectacular defense there. Acid Fly falling down into the water, and Planet just losing all hope of competing on that map. And, you know, these fans here, they're excited for Team Aura.
Definitely Aura to see. Aura, they came all the way to Jamsil from Busan, which is so far.
Korea's a small country. Busan's about as far as it gets, man.
That's like all the way across the country down to the ocean.
All right, Terracotta Twister will be the next map, tied 1-1.
We're getting right into the match within the map of Terracotta Twister. You know, this is a map known for its tricky turns, so I hope our players will be able to stay composed as they confront some of those turns.
Yeah, a couple of places where you can fall off here, as we saw earlier today and yesterday as well, but Aura just kind of riding the momentum from the previous map, and they're in fantastic position here with Hero, Seas, and Nock. You know, the 1-2-3 punch right there. Nock's going to try and play some defense there. Look to see him try and swipe Mari a little bit.
And he is definitely doing his job so far, because
Na'Vi.
More members of Aura's coming in.
Yeah, Na'Vi's also here as Aura's holding all the top 4 spots. And look at this excellent blocking here. Fantastic defense from the team. I mean, everyone's playing kind of conservative lines there as they navigate the most difficult part of this map. But Aura, they're just so happy with this season Hero. It's only lap number 1, and they already have some fantastic leads here. And look at Nock again, just consistently getting in front of Mari and not giving him any space.
It's just the same thing happening right now. 1, 2, 3, 4 being locked in by Aura, and this is the final lap.
Goodness.
Na'Vi does fall behind, but still Aura is 9 points ahead of Planet. We see the Minsik, Acid Fly, Scarlet Mari, they are coming in right now. They're trying to be cohesive with this movement. They just need to get a little bit further.
Yeah, Na'Vi falls behind, but that was an intentional play there. He sacrificed himself for the better of his team because he knows if he can create space between the 3-pack of Aura and the rest of Team Planet, it doesn't matter where he finishes. They're going to walk away with a win as we have our players trying to skirt these. Planet doing a good job of taking some greedy lines and not falling down the dip, but they're going to have to make some fantastic plays to close this one out.
There's 500 meters left on the clock. This is looking not very good for Planet, as Aura, they do still have their players in that top 3, and they are able to lock in another astonishing victory.
Yeah, these last few tracks have just been a masterclass here from Aura. In control of the game from start to finish, and Hero and Siege in the 1-2 spot. You get those players in the top 2 positions in speed mode, you're walking away with the track almost no matter what. And regardless of that, I mean, you got to think that, you know, okay, Na'Vi and Nock, they're going to be sacrificing themselves to just give as much space to their runners as possible. Nock still finishes top 3.
Yeah, I mean, the confidence to even go all the way down to 8th from Na'Vi, showing that he really trusted his team there to maintain the top 3. And when they did, you know, it was an absolute pleasure to see how dominant Aura was able to be.
Yeah, or with fantastic lines, fantastic teamwork, as they're in a commanding position now, winning the last 2 tracks in this best of 5. Let's get a little bit of a replay here. Some action coming in. You see Acid. Oh, man. The action happened so fast, I didn't even catch that in all of its glory, but fantastic blocking there from Aura, just causing constant problems for Team Planet.
Yeah, I mean, Aura looking really on form right now, as we see from the fan. What is 3 times 5? I want to see Aura win. Wait, what?
I'm not good enough at math to parse that one, man. I played Protoss and StarCraft. I don't know what 3 times 5 is.
I feel you there, man. Math can be definitely a head-scratcher.
All right, Zigzag Timberland will be the next map. Will Aura be able to complete the 3-1 finish? All right, and the racers are off again. Will Aura be once again able to secure the top spots here out of the gates as Nock in the lead? Scarlet and Acid Fly right behind them with a little bit of blocking coming in. So a bit more of a competitive field here out of the gates.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not the ideal situation for Aura, because Hero is a player that likes to stay in the front for the team, and he's sitting at rank 5 right now. So Nock trying to fill his role, doing whatever he can to keep Acid Fly back. But we do see Scarlet coming in, 4 players, 2 from each team, trying to contest for the top positions.
And look at Hero just speedily coming in here and closing these gaps. These guys are running 6.062, but it looks like 7.070 with how fast Hero is just gaining ground on everybody. Taking some great lines, and now Aura pretty comfortable with 3 of the top 4 spots here.
Hero definitely a player that is really good at speeding up in the front line, but we do have Acid Fly still trying to buy some time for his team. You know, Scarlet, Min, Sigmari, they're sitting at 5, 6, 7, and this is not looking good because Planet is still down in points, about 5 points, but if they just pull through a little bit more, that might give them the edge they need.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure here on Acid Fly for Team Planet to secure that #1 spot unless his teammates are able to come through better in the midfield. But as we've seen time and time again, the defense from Aura, once they get these leads, is just so ironclad. You see Hero coming in, and he's going to try his best not to let anybody pass.
I mean, this is the second lap, so if we continue to see these fantastic defense coming from Aura, then Planet is going to be in trouble because they are currently 15 points behind. They need to catch up on that 6, 7, 8 position in Acid Fly, Minsik, and Mari.
And look at the distance between Scarlet, Hero, and C's right now. Those top 2 racers here for Team Aura just in complete control as we're getting through halfway point here on the final lap. Nock just doing more excellent defense. And man, Peter, I think Aura's going to be walking away with a 3-1 unless Planet comes out with some fantastic tricks.
I mean, tricks, but how far can they take you?
Okay, we'll take that. Okay, Scarlet closing some gaps there as
Acid Fly too.
Yeah, Aura with a little bit of a greedy turn there, and it becomes a tighter race here with 500 meters left to go.
This is going to be a really close one. C's leading the pack, Nock following right behind, but Acid Fly, is it going to be enough?
Even with that minor error there from Team Aura, they had such a comfortable lead, you know, it just kind of pads it. They still finish with the top 2 racers and also 4th position, so Aura just on another level right now. A very dominating 3-1 win. I mean, these last 3 tracks were just so clean and such great team play that, I mean, they look like a force to be reckoned with. They played above the level that I expected coming into this one.
For sure. I mean, it was a 3-1, so you might expect it to have been a little bit close, but not at all, because the way it went in those 3 matches, it was just all one-sided, favoring Aura. Planet definitely struggled today coming up against their fierce opponents.
Yeah, but we're going to switch sides, come into item mode here, and maybe Planet will be able to bring out some magic tricks, come through with some wins, and force an ace match.
Yeah, I mean, we can't forget that Planet was, after all, a team that has many members from the Mystic team, which was so highly regarded by many players.
Yeah, absolutely. They also have that item specialist Lens, who they're going to need to come through in the clutch there, but I mean, just the racing here from Aura in the last 3 tracks cannot be understated. They just played every map so well. They took the best lines, and every time they had somebody running away with it, they had defenders right behind them. The sweepers would just come in, they would block, they would do everything in their power to prevent the opposing team from gaining any momentum, and that just worked flawlessly.
And as we see a racer change for Aura, Tech is going to be coming in as a player with a really high understanding of item battle. So I'm excited to see if Aura can continue their dominance even into the item mode.
Yeah, Take definitely the veteran on that team, born in 1992, as we have another change here. Lens coming in as the item specialist for Team Planet. Mari swapping out. Almost called him Maru. So many esports, so many pro gamers, man. It's getting jumbled up here with the names. But, you know, interesting story about Lens. So I heard that at some point he was competing in a kart rider tournament wearing contact lenses. In mid-race, the lens fell out. They had to pause the game. He had to put the lens back in. His team wasn't in the best position, and they were still able to come back from that position. So now his moniker here in English is Lens.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic story to go along with this name. Absolutely a crazy one. But we do see some of the track lists coming out. You know, the bands, Icebreaker Pass, London Night. These are names that we haven't seen too much. And on the other side, we also have bands from Planet, Mushroom Caves. This was a map that we got to see a bit earlier, and Motherlode.
Yes, the maps will be Brody's Gloom, Cogwheel Crush, Pharaoh's Pass, Polar Half-Pipe, and Istanbul Sunset Plaza. If we go to a map number 5, Planet needing to win 3 of these tracks to force an ace match and keep their tournament hopes, you know, not necessarily alive, but you want to build some momentum here in the opening weekend.
For sure, and I also really want to see an ace match because we haven't gotten to see one so far in the Kart Rider Drift League. And this man is saying Untech is item and Untech is tech. So just identifying tech as a defining player for that item mode.
Oh, look at this cheerful! Look at the armor moving! Look at that bunny!
Yeah, I mean,
how did you do that?
Just crazy mechanics into Cheerful, I guess.
Cheerful mechanics. We are entering a new meta at esports, man. The cheerful meta. That is spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic Cheerful as we see a fan of Aura definitely being happy today. I'm sure that after that dominating performance, a lot of fans are excited to see what more can Aura bring to the table.
Yeah, especially with Tech coming in here as the item specialist here for Aura. Going to be looking to secure the win and avoid that ace matches. We're going to go to track number 1 here in item mode, Brody's Gloom.
Here we go, entering into the first item mode round between Aura and Planet. Now, we do see, of course, this is the first lap out of 2, so things are going to speed up really fast. Players are going to need to gather those items.
Yeah, players getting hit by the little Roomba coming around there in the circle. And man, remember how we were talking about how deep the strategy is here, how you really want to set up the field to get just one racer to cross that finish line at the final moment, because that's what matters in item mode, right?
Right.
Oh. I mean, that happens, and then you see players getting hit by like water balloons or, you know, colliding with obstacles across the map, and normally you'd be thinking, oh, they messed up, but I mean, these games are just so nuanced in terms of complexity that you got to think that there's a deeper strategy here being played by these players. For sure. I mean, the endless possibilities of strategies is definitely a thing that these teams are definitely been studying and building upon. As we see the first lap, it is coming to an end here. So moving into second lap, Aura has a pretty sizable lead. Planet definitely needs to do some catching up. Yeah, a little bit concerning here for Planet with Aura having so many positions towards the top, but okay.
Looking good now.
Say that and it instantly flips, but
Minsick.
You know, what really matters is those final moments, whether the teams are going to be able to come through with attacks, with angel shields, whether your lead racers are going to be able to get nitrous to propel them across that finish line. That's what we're looking for, but look at Planet. Yeah, exactly. They have a lot of nitrous in the tank.
For sure, as we see Minsick, ever since he got that lead into first place, he has been keeping it pretty consistently. Of course, Acid Fly here to try to keep Tech behind.
They might not be able to catch him. He's starting to pull away. Tech's going to have to make something happen because behind him is Not Hero and Seas.
Oh, 1-2-4 position right now for Planet, looking really good. Going into that last 300 meters into the finish line. Minsick versus Tech is what's happening. Tech looking so close.
Oh, photo finish, and Tech is barely able to eke it out. The veteran here, just by a fraction of a second, able to pass Minsik. I was certain that Minsik was gonna walk away with a win on that one, but Tech, by some miracle, a photo finish, is able to get the dub for Team Aura, and man, you gotta be feeling good about that one as an Aura fan.
Tech, the item specialist, pulling through so clutch for his team.
Look
at
at
the
this.
difference.
My goodness, we'll have it on screen in just a second, but
Yeah.
a fraction of a second, man. That's just, oh, phenomenal.
Exactly a fraction, 0.025 down to the T. Crazy.
Oh,
Well,
what a finish.
that's a great way to open our first item mode match between the two teams.
I don't think that could be top. That's my highlight of the day so far.
For
Is
sure.
Take just coming out of nowhere to barely secure that win.
As we see some of the
boy.
replays, you know, that led to this crazy moment. You know, 300 meters left, and we saw Minsik leading so far ahead. Tech, you know, we saw him coming in, trying his best, but oh my God.
Just took the tightest possible line, you know, and just had barely enough speed to, by the fraction of a second, by a hair, walk away with a win there. But, you know, all that matters is that you're the first one across. It doesn't matter by how much, and Aura's going to be taking that win all the way to the bank as we're getting ready for track number 2, Cogwheel Crush.
We are getting into the second round of the item mode. I am super excited to see how Planet will turn this around, because we must say, although Aura did take that match number 1, Planet was looking really good. They had so many players in the front, so we can see that Planet is definitely a team that likes to play around these item modes and has a really good understanding of them.
Yeah, Planet seemed like they were in a quite commanding position heading into the final moments there, but we've said it time and time again, it's really just that absolute final moment right before the finish line that matters most here in item mode. And I mean, Aura last map, they were able to pull the rabbit out of the hat, but we'll see if Planet's plans can come to fruition a little bit better here in track number 2.
For sure. I mean, Lens, he is the item ace for the team Planet, so Lens definitely trying his best to lead his team to victory and making sure that the team, they are synchronized in the idea of what kind of itemization they want to go for. And we're seeing a lot of Angels across the board, more so than Nitrous.
Yeah, and Planet once again having a lot of players closer to the front of the pack than Team Aura, and this was my concern last track, where Aura had a lot of players really close to the bottom of the standings, and you had to think that, okay, well, things have to go perfectly if you're going to be able to win from that position, and they did. But Planet, it seems like they're comfortable rolling with most of their guys close to the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, this is the final lap now, so this is definitely do or die. Lens and Acid Fly trying to secure that lead, continuing on for Planet.
Yep, Rocket coming in, taking one player out, as it's going to be C's in the lead right now for Team Aura. Lens right behind him here for Planet, as it's still a tight race here at the front.
It's very close. Hero is, he's got to be the hero for Team Aura, basically, because he is their only hope going into the last 400 meters.
And he gets a shield as well off the Nitrous, but
Oh
no,
my
the Magnet
God.
coming in, but no,
Oh
and
no,
another Magnet!
Lens.
It's Magnets all the way down, and Team Aura once again with another thrilling finish. Nock is gonna cross the finish line, and Aura's gonna go up 2-0 in item mode, and my
Man.
goodness, these guys are putting on a show.
Yeah,
Wow.
Planet. They were so close behind. They had 2 players finishing 2 and 3, but always one player manages to clutch it for Aura. I'm sure that these players must be feeling at the top of the world right now.
Once again, a fraction of a second, as, I mean, you saw that first Magnet pop there for Team Planet, and you're like, okay, this is how they're going to ride it to a win. And then the second Magnet comes in from Team Aura, and that propels them to the victory. And I mean, words can't describe how exciting these last 2 track finishes had been. You know, I said that, you know, track number 1 was the highlight of the day. I don't think that can be surpassed, but we almost surpassed that in the following track.
I mean, we're getting so much exciting hype matches back to back. And, you know, it keeps you at the edge of your seat, excited. What more can we see between the teams, Aura and Planet? you know, we emphasize a lot of the happy things happening for Aura here, but as we take a look at the replay, you know, Planet, you look at Lens, Minsec, Acid Flight, they were looking so good.
Yeah, and look at this, the double, oh, maybe even a triple magnet. There's so many magnets there as Aura is able to ride that to a victory. Just some fantastic item utilization in the last moments of 2 maps back-to-back, and sequentially fantastic play coming out of Team Aura. They are looking so solid.
Right, and we have a fan here saying, we are going to rip apart the Kart Rider Drift League for Aura, and definitely that's what Aura is doing right now.
Yeah, they're definitely turning me into a believer as we're gonna go to the next map, Pharaoh's Pass. Will Aura be able to finish the win? Right, racers are off once again, and man, I am still reeling from those final moments in those first 2 tracks.
For sure, I mean, who wouldn't be, right? No one can blame you, but this map is going to be a bit different because we're gonna have a 3-lap one, so it's going to be long drawn out, players having a bit more time to selectively decide what items they're gonna have, which I believe it has been one of the key factors for Aura, you know. When the race is so close, you don't have too much time to think exactly of the what item combos that you want to use, but for some reason, Aura seems to perform really well under pressure.
Yeah, it seems like they're content, generally speaking, at least in track 1 and track 2, to kind of play a little bit slower in the mid-game, you know, kind of bide their time, and then once they have their kits, in terms of the items that they have situated on each character, they seems like they almost make a decision. It's like, okay, we're going to send these 2 players out. This guy's got both a nitrous and a shield. We'll have him go through. We also have a player with a magnet. And it worked in track number 1. It worked in track number 2. Those were photo finishes, though. Not comfortable wins by any means, as we see Team Planet trying to make something happen here. They want to avoid the sweep here in the item round. Will it work?
I mean, if it's a sweep, that would be such a crazy reputation that would follow Aura. So Planet, for sure, doesn't want to give that to their opponent. They want to put up a good fight because now we are moving into that final lap. Scarlet leading the pack for Planet, but Aura looking really good with that 1-3-4 position.
Yeah, Scarlet with double nitrous as well. We'll be able to pull away from the pack before the next items a little bit. See what items they pick up next, as the field is still quite close here heading into the final lap.
Really, really close. I mean, Aura right now, they are trying to support Tech, who is having a good lead over Acid Fly, but Planet, you know, they are coming in hot. You know, can go either way.
Yeah, just watching the items right now. Tech picks up a couple
400
aggressive
meters
items.
left.
Yeah, 400 meters left.
Knock.
Both with a nitrous and
Lens.
with a magnet and sees. What? Aura with all these come behind victories, man. And it's waiting until the right moment to utilize those items, and every single time they get it, that time not just sees crossing in first place, but also Knock right there in second in a convincing sweep of the opposing team.
We may have just found ourselves the king, the most hyped team for the item mode. Aura showing such a good performance here today, as you know, we can see the players on the Aura side definitely looking content with their place.
Yeah, by far their most comfortable win here in item mode, and you know what, it goes to show how skilled Aura is in this mode and the value that their veteran Take brings to this roster, because you know, item mode, there's so much chaos, and you know, it's absolutely skill based, but sometimes it does feel like fate decides. But Aura does not let fate decide. Aura comes through in the clutch moments time and time again. 3-0 sweep. And I think we have, at least in my opinion, our item mode kings right now. Is you described that perfectly. They look convincing in speed mode. They look even more convincing here in item mode, as usually sees just blazing past that finish line.
Lens almost looked like he had it, but he didn't have enough to set Planet through the victory. So we see Aura today coming in that speed mode, 3-1, and then for set 2, 3-0.
What a thrilling match from start to finish. I mean, Aura's play was just absolutely top-notch, and not to take anything away from Planet, but Aura just, it felt like they were on another level.
For sure, Aura, this is a team that's definitely going to pick up a lot of new fans here today. Me being one of them, for instance. I am so excited to see where the future takes them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these guys are showing so much potential here, and if they can play at this level consistently throughout the KDL, I would not be surprised to see them in the playoffs.
Right, and we see the team standings so far. Liv Sandbox at that first place with the 1 win, and Aura following behind them at the first place as well.
Yep, Liv Sandbox, Aura, the Freaks, and Reboot, all with 1 set win. ROX, Finale, Esports, Sensation, and Planet all with set losses. But you look at the round wins right now, and Liv Sandbox and Aura are sitting pretty right there on top in first place.
Just completely even with each other right now. You know, these round wins can definitely make the difference in the standings. But so far, even Guangdong, Freaks, and Reboot, they are standing at the equal amount of set wins and round wins.
And Team Aura, man, they're... You know, we talked a lot about Liv Sandbox on day 1 and the Kwangdong Freaks on day 2, and for good reason, you know. Both the global community and the Korean kart rider community talk a lot about these teams as arguably the top 2 teams in the league. You know, the favorites to run away with this one and secure a victory in the postseason. But Aura just playing out of their minds today in some convincing fashions. I don't think we have seen any series quite as one-sided as that was.
Yeah, I mean, definitely what we mentioned earlier about how Aura was able to recruit pretty much the best-known amateur player in Navi. That was definitely a huge moment for them. And also, Tech, who is their item mode specialist, definitely a player that has just provided so much for the team. I'm sure they are really happy with their decisions.
Yeah, and Tech showing some great performance too. I was very excited about that as well. You know, being a 30-something myself, to see a 30-something competing in kart rider, which is a young man's game, and coming through in the clutch right there. Just some fantastic play calling there by Tech, their item specialist, as you said, and just top to bottom, an all-around solid team. You know, their runners, they pulled away from the pack when they needed to, and everybody played great defense in speed mode. You go into item mode, and it felt like every single map they set themselves up in position to win a photo finish in phenomenal fashion.
For sure. I mean, just so many good things have been said about Aura today and definitely deserve them all. And now, going back into Planet, you know, they definitely did have a bit of a one-sided loss in terms of results, maybe not in the terms of what actually happened because they were all so close. But Planet definitely is a team that we still got to watch out for. You know, the next time they have a showing, I'm sure that they're going to show us a lot of improved gameplay because, you know, the team Mystic, we keep talking about it because in 2020, they were able to make such a good impression, and so many players from the team Mystic have now moved over to Planet, showing a really strong roster.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a bit of a shakeup in terms of power rankings of these teams as these leagues move on because, you know, we're only here in the preseason. It's a new game, Kart Rider Drift. It's based on an old one with an almost 2-decade esports history, but it still is something new, and there's going to be an adjusting period. There's veterans that are coming back to the game. There's new players that are only just now getting started. So, yeah, definitely look for them to make some improvements, make some adjustments, and try to come up even stronger next week.
Yeah, I mean, the item ace lens, we were talking earlier about his story, about how, you know, his lens, it ended up falling out during a game. And before that lens fell out, you know, they were losing the game. And then after, you know, they won. This is a player that definitely has a lot of attention on him as the item ace. So for sure, we're expecting great things to come out of Planet.
Yeah, and we're not done yet today either. You know, after another short break, which we'll be going to in a moment, we have the solo speed section of today, which I'm especially looking forward to because we have our global player. NEAL is going to be competing in it, HoJun as well. It should be a star-studded roster for, you know, arguably another group of death. We were talking about how strong Group A was, but Group B also is definitely going to have some highlight moments, I think.
For sure. I mean, highlights, you can say that again. HoJun, we've emphasized him as the emperor of Kart Rider over and over again. And now the question is, coming into Kart Rider Drift, will he be able to continue that spectacular history and become the emperor of even Kart Rider Drift? You know, there's a lot of fierce opponents, especially in NEAL, that he's going to be facing off today. NEAL also a player wanting to become the potential emperor of Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of these new players are going to want to make that legend for themselves. And guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with the solo speed section of this game. And welcome back to the KDL. I'm State, joined with me is Peter, and we are getting ready to start the solo match portion of today's games. I could not be more excited, Peter.
Solo matches are always so great, and as we look a little bit into how it's going to be played out, it starts out as a round of 32, and in preseason there is no longer a second chance for the eliminated players. So the top 4 players of each group will advance, while the bottom 4 will be eliminated. And the following round of 16 will be a best of 5 double elims, where only 8 players will move on.
Yeah, so today we have a group of 8 players. 4 of them will not be moving on to the round of 16. It is do or die here at the KDL Group B. And man, we have a star-studded lineup as well. Both HoJun and NEAL leading the pack here.
Right, I mean, HoJun and NEAL, definitely the players you would put your money on to go for that first place prize, 10 million won. I mean, those players are definitely known for winning a lot of these tournaments.
10 million won, just under 10,000 US dollars. So a lot of prize money up for grabs here in the preseason as we get a look at the track list here for solo match. Mine Gold Rush, Winding Slopes, Boom Hill Tunnel, Construction Chaos, Ancient Aqueducts, Snowbound Slopes, the list goes on and on. So many different maps to choose from. And keep in mind, we are playing first to 50 points. You can see right there at the bottom of the screen, you get 10 points for first place, 7 points for second, and so on and so on. First to 50 wins the group. And after that, I mean, the standings decide who's going to move on and who's going to be eliminated.
That is definitely how we do the solo matches, and we do have some maps here that are rated to be very challenging ever since beta testing. There's Village, Boom Hill Tunnel, Desert, Ancient Aqueducts. You know, we're going to see how these players perform.
Yep. Here we get a quick look at the other groups here in this tournament. Of course, yesterday we had Insu winning by 1 point over Hyunsa, coming out first in the group with Cool and Looning right behind him.
Definitely the players we want to see. 4
players eliminated there. Glamit, the rookie, didn't have the worst showing. You know, he had some good performances over there, but in the end, going to finish last in that group. And today, HoJun, NEAL, Percent, Wave, Knock Guard, Perfect, and SUNGBIN. It should be a very competitive lobby.
Yeah, this is a definitely a fully packed group. We have very high expectations for the players in Group B, and the players are getting ready as we are for some exciting kart rider drift matches.
Yeah, HoJun is probably the favorite to get out of this group. He's going to be going with a 6062 standard build here. He is the top-seeded player here in Group B. And solo match members, is this for real?
You know, if HoJun says it, then you know it's right. Even HoJun is feeling a bit of pressure with the amount of talent that is packed into this Group B.
Yeah, Group A and Group B starting things off here at the KDL, both very, very stacked. A lot of these players certainly have a potential to make a run for money here in the round of 16, but unfortunately only 4 of them can advance. And NEAL, the global player here in this tournament, going to try and be one of those players.
NEAL, definitely the player that we have a lot of eyes on, but you know, he says it's easier to advance in kart rider than Topic.
Topic. So Topic, it's spelled with the K at the end. It's the Korean test. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's basically the Korean test. It's the test for Korean proficiency. Korean language proficiency, of course. NEAL now living in Korea here to compete in kart rider drift. You know, we interviewed our players before the tournament started and asked them, you know, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? You know, not only the tournament, but, you know, just this time of year. And NEAL says that his goal is passing Topic level 4.
Yeah. I mean, good luck to him.
Yeah, it's a good ambition. So he thinks it'll be easier than doing that. So more power to him, man.
Yep, and now we have Percent also running that 6062, and he asked, you know, what percent am I? And I really like that one because sometimes players can perform at like, you know, 90%, 50%, and I really hope that he performs at his 100% today.
This guy's been practicing a ton, as has Wave. Says he has nothing to lose, so he's going to have fun. Definitely one of the underdogs here in this group with a slightly different build, going for 5063 as opposed to a 6062, just a minor tweak. That'll make his nitrous just a little bit stronger there, even if he's going to sacrifice some speed.
I really like the emphasis being put on nitrous, especially because of the huge potential for a comeback using those. As we see a fan of Wave expecting a just a match that's going to be like, you know, waves coming in, very dominant.
Like the incoming tide, as he said himself.
For sure.
And here is Nog, says, yep, bunch of familiar faces here, as yeah, he is definitely right about that. Another player running a 5063 build here.
Yeah.
Kart Rider Drift is, yeah, we'll see if he's able to make his way out of the group. Definitely some nice performances from him earlier in the team portion of this tournament, but you know, this is a different beast entirely here, the solo match.
And we see, you know, a fan also once again pointing out the crazy lineup of Group B. It is, for sure, I mean, just the consensus around here.
Yeah, here is Guard. Guard, bless my way to the round of 16, running a 6062 build. Nice, clean, and standard here. He'll be wearing the green stripes. Is Guard going to try and look and build on his nice tournament performance already? And advance here to the round of 16. Some fans for him.
Yeah,
and the crown as well.
And there's another fan for Choi Young-hoon. Definitely a player that we've seen a lot of good performance from.
I like that. That was orchestrated. Holds up his name placard, drops it, switches to the fist. Perfect. Perfect
sure.
self-introduction. Will he have perfect play? That was 6062 build coming out of him. Planning to enjoy Drift.
Definitely. I mean, this guy, I hope he lives up to his name. Perfection is definitely a hard standard to set sometimes, but he definitely must have had a lot of performances that he might find perfect, especially when he named himself that.
And SUNGBIN for the KWANGDONG FREECS. He's saying what's on a lot of people's mind. Are we sure this is the round of 32 with such a stacked group? Another player running that 6062 build, aiming to advance to the round of 8. And with so many hard-hitting names here, I mean, it's a shame that half this lobby is going to be eliminated, but you know, that just adds to the drama. There's a lot on the line, and today we're not just looking to see who the best player in this group is, who's going to advance in first. We're going to have to be paying a lot of attention to the middle of the pack because consistency is key here. The difference between qualifying for the round of 16 and dropping out of the solo tournament entirely could just be a handful of points. Every single track is going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, every single player definitely wants to move on and have more chances to show all the practice that they have been putting into Kart Rider Drift, you know, coming into this game from the other games like the original Kart and the Kart Rider mobile version, Rush Plus.
Yep, Snowbound Slopes is going to be map number 1 as our racers are getting ready to start things off.
And we are opening our first match of solo mode. This is definitely going to be exciting to watch as we see Perfect and HoJun and SUNGBIN leading the pack.
Yeah, Perfect with a fantastic beginning here. Picture Perfect as we're coming into the first turn. SUNGBIN going to try and make some play. HoJun with some nice boosting and excellent drifting here. Going to try and close the gap, but with these tight angles, really trying to avoid collisions. Not a lot of room to be working with.
There's definitely lacking room between these players right now because they are so close.
Oh, but HoJun somehow just gets gifted an opening there with everyone hugging that right line, and now HoJun working his way into first place. Perfect following right behind him in second as we make our way down this slope. Perfect passing him here as we come into another turn.
And now we see NEAL actually making it to the top 4 list. NEAL definitely a player that we have a lot of attention for because he is a player that is meta setting. And now we see Percent and Perfect knocking down Moon HoJun to rank 3.
Yeah, NEAL, the global player here in this lobby, sitting down in 6th place. He would like to do better than that. We'll see if he's able to come back after entering the ski lift. Everybody entering at almost the exact same time, as it shows truly what a competitive lobby we have here. Just fractions of seconds separating first from, I mean, frankly, almost last.
We said earlier that these players are just right neck to neck and not a lot of space in between, but definitely now there is more space going into the second lap.
Yeah, and NEAL with a fantastic start here in the second lap after exiting the ski lift, going to work his way into first place by a little bit of a comfortable margin right here, with Percent and Perfect following right behind it. They're going to try and see if they can take some tight lines here with these drifts coming around these hairpin corners on the downslopes. Very difficult to control these turns. You see Perfect and Percent both trying to take the tightest possible lines to minimize the amount of distance they need to cover, but NEAL just continues to pull ahead.
It's crazy how NEAL was able to come with this comeback because Perfect and Percent, they were the 2 players with the most consistency thus far, but NEAL now really far ahead. Percent, you know, he needs to go for the little bit of a riskier drift because he has some gap to close.
Yeah, a lot of obstacles right here as our karters are going to try and navigate this wood line perfectly. 500 meters from the finish line. Percent takes the lead.
Perfect following right behind. There's NEAL in the 3rd place, and Percent managed to lock in that 1st place finish, followed by Perfect and NEAL.
Yeah, Percent and Perfect both in the same lobby. It's a bit of a tongue twister at a glance, trying to catch exactly who is who. But yeah, it will be Percent winning track number 1 right there with a nice comeback finish right at the end. You know, for a moment it looked like NEAL was going to be able to secure that lead and take that victory, but instead going to be 3rd on the podium as Percent walks away with 1st place.
It's crazy because HoJun was leading in top 3 for most of the race, but at the final lap, he fell down all the way to 7th place, showing how devastating mistakes can be.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stacked lobby entirely as HoJun, one of the favorites to advance to the next round, only finishing in 7th, and he's going to be a little bit concerned about his performance there, but I mean, you know, that happens. It's part of the game. You can't be perfect all of the time. And that's the reason why we play all the way to 50. You know, there's going to be a lot of tracks, a lot of opportunities for these players to prove themselves and accumulate those points. And consistency is going to be king. If HoJun wants to try and start his comeback, it's going to have to come here on the next map.
Right, Perfect and Percent look so good there in the last map, so I wonder if they're once again going to be kind of like the duos racing for that top 3 position, because they are looking really strong so far today in this solo mode. And of course, NEAL, a player, we know even if he falls behind, he will make it up to you, catch up to you, and pull off some crazy plays.
Yeah, NEAL absolutely has a ton of potential. Royal roading on the global stage, royal roading on the Korean stage. This guy has done it all, dedicating his life to kart rider, now living in Korea, learning Korean, competing live here at the Kart Rider Drift League. Expectations are high upon him from the global community.
I mean, that's a lot of, you know, just commitment to Kart Rider, and I'm so glad that he managed to also come into Kart Rider Drift for us, because it is such a pleasure to see this guy perform, and you just have to wonder, you know, where's his peak?
Yeah, you know, I mean, in life, you only get so many chances to be the best at something, to truly excel, and NEAL, this is his chance, and he wants to do the best that he possibly can, committing himself fully here for Kart Rider Drift, representing the global community here.
Right, and there's a fan for HoJun going into a bit of the history, how he retired back in 2020, but he came back, and another fan for our player SUNGBIN. She wants him to perform really well.
Packed audience here again for Kart Rider Drift, as the Korean fans just absolutely loving this game, one of the biggest esports in Korea, now entering the global stage.
This player, they showed up to Kart Rider Drift League, ignoring Gumayusi from League of Legends and another player from a different sports, you know, prioritizing Kart Rider as their favorite esports.
So many cheerfuls, man. Look at this.
Go for it, Perfect. 100%. There's a lot of fans for Perfect here. And once again, fan for Wave, wanting that, you know, match coming like a wave, a roaring tide wave.
Yeah, another fan here for HoJun is, I mean, truly the fans are coming out in droves, and they're so passionate about their favorite players. They want to support them every step of the way. Please at least get 4th place, Young-hoon Ah.
I mean, that's a good point. You know, it doesn't really matter too much as long as you're not eliminated and you know you have another chance. That is like complete difference between heaven and hell. So coming in 4th is definitely the very minimum that you want to set for yourself today.
Yeah, fans for Guard, fan for Perfect, fan for HoJun, fans for everybody here, frankly, on the big stage.
Here's a little lucky charm, lucky 4 Clover for Guard, and as well as a cute penguin. I wonder if that's Elizabeth.
We got some artists in the audience. I mean, first we had the rabbit with the arms that were moving, and then we got some 3D text. Looks like it was made in a, oh man, just fantastic stuff. As we're gonna go to map number 2, Terracotta Twister. All right, and the racers are off. All eyes are going to be on HoJun to see if he can come through with a comeback here, as he certainly has a great start, leading the charge here. NEAL and Percent right behind him.
Perfect, not being able to keep up with Percent this time, so we have to see, you know, the fluctuations between the rankings this time. Will it be the top 3 keeping it up? We just saw a nice little prize turn to the wall, definitely changing things up.
Yeah, HoJun working these lines perfectly right now and actually creating a little bit of distance between him and the rest of the pack. NEAL, the closest player, right behind him with these nitrous, going to try and make a play here as we enter the inner portion of the map. All right, top 2 racers navigating this portion very well so far. Will they get caught here on this lip? Nope, too high skill for that. As both of them are going to make it through, and NEAL actually coming through the pass.
NEAL, wow, he got bounced off of HoJun there, almost fell into the water, I thought, but NEAL, he's composed, he's still here to fight for top 3.
Yeah, it's neck and neck here at the top of this pack as Wave and Guard rounding out the bottom of the roster. NEAL, HoJun, and Perfect in the top 3 as it just gets closer and closer.
Percent coming in, he's at top 5 right now. You know, Percent is the player standing at rank 1 in the overall point standing, so he definitely wants to protect that lead, you know, coming in right now, once again, still at rank 5.
But man, it almost feels like a 1v1 between NEAL and HoJun. They have been neck and neck, first and second place, non-stop so far in this race as we once again come inside this inner area. Will they once again be able to navigate this successfully? Some tight lines being pulled right here.
Looking to drift back and forth, left and right. You know the combo by now, and they pull it off beautifully. HoJun and NEAL toe-to-toe. HoJun is blocking NEAL out, but NEAL is leading the pack, and there's 400 meters left.
Oh, and a collision there, too. It's going to give NEAL a massive lead over everybody else. He will assuredly be finishing in first with NOX, SUNGBIN, and Perfect finishing right behind him. HoJun losing so much momentum there coming into the final turns, and what looked like it was going to be a top 2 finish has him placing all the way down in 6th. And you see right now, NEAL is going to be choosing the next map, taking his time, and what a great race. Not only from NEAL, but from HoJun right there until the end.
Right, I mean, they were just consistent with how they were driving, you know, drifting through the trickiest parts of the map. NEAL, he was the one to pull away, however, locking in that, you know, first place finish. So we have to wonder what map he's going to pick next, because the first place of each of these speed mode solos can definitely go ahead and pick the map that they want to play in next time.
Yeah, a nice time there for NEAL as he's going to jump into first place by 1 point here ahead of Percent. SUNGBIN, HoJun, and Wave lagging behind right now. A little bit concerned for HoJun.
Right, I mean, the gap between 5th and 6th is looking huge. You know, 1 point to 9 point, 8 points is a lot to try to recover to.
Yeah, and 5th isn't even the cutoff. You got to get top 4 to advance from this group. So there's a lot of pressure right now for the players at the bottom part of the standings.
For sure, you know, no player wants to go home today. Everyone wants to be the one to advance to the best of 5 in round of 16. I am sure that NEAL is going to be continuing to show us a lot of consistent performance. And of course, Percent and Perfect, these two were the duos really doing well to keep up at the front.
All right, getting ready to go into the next map. Desert Ancient Aqueducts will be the track. Can NEAL continue to compound on this lead?
Round 3 is about to start as we see NEAL building a beautiful lead for himself, and HoJun coming in again.
HoJun using physics too. Oh no, never mind. The caster curse has been jinxed. I love that start there for him though, just trying to use collisions to get a little bit of a boost at the expense of other players, but then just going a little bit too wide on that turn as now we have Percent, NEAL, and NOX leading the pack.
They are definitely feeling good about this lead right now as we have SUNGBIN, Wave, and Guard trying to catch up, but so far they are struggling to keep up with the top 3 of the pack.
Yeah, NEAL and Percent very close together right now. NEAL's going to try and make a move maybe on this next turn, but no, instead actually it's NOX coming in from the outside with a Nitrous. And look at this. NOX just taking a fantastic lead here. Percent still right behind him as he's going to maybe look to make another pass here coming onto this bridge.
There's a lot of really close drifts and Nitrous being used by the players right now, especially moving into this final second lap. You know, NOX and Percent, they're definitely trying to play their A game.
Yeah, but Percent took that angle just a little bit too wide, just as we saw HoJun do on the first lap, and that's going to cost him a bit now as it's now NOX, NEAL, Percent here in the top 3.
SUNGBIN trying to catch up, but it's definitely the top 3 players that have the most commotion going for them.
Oh, you say that, but SUNGBIN coming in from the outside with a ton of speed out of nowhere, going to make his way to contest top 3 yet again, actually working his way all the way into first place here on the final lap.
SUNGBIN, how is he doing this? His control is absolutely beautiful right now as we see 5 players not too far from each other trying to catch up to SUNGBIN and NOX. Percent looking for the angle.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really tight turns there that we just got
500.
through. 500 meters left with SUNGBIN almost assuredly going to be finishing in first place right now. It's going to be a race to see who can finish behind him. Not going to try and make the play. He will get second place. Then NEAL and HoJun with a bit of a saving grace performance there, getting top 4. He desperately needed those points to start closing the distance between his rank and top 4 in the group overall.
SUNGBIN is definitely happy about his finish into first place in this round 3 because he was sitting at 5th place in overall point standings. And you know, 5th place is not acceptable because it's basically 8th place. And this is definitely going to hopefully bolster his ranking up in the ladder standings.
Yeah, if you're not in top 4, your rank simply doesn't matter. You're just out of the tournament. So just as you said, you got to fight for those top spots. You see Perfect and Percent, 1 point separating them, rank 4 and rank 5. That's what you got to keep your eyes on here as we're about almost halfway through. 20 points is the points leader as we're playing all the way to 50. And that points leader will be choosing the next map as the players are getting ready to load into the lobby. A lot of pressure on not only rank 5, but also HoJun a little bit lower in the standings. You know, the Emperor, he wants to return and he wants to continue his legacy here in Kartrider Drift, but if he's not able to make it to the round of 16, you kind of know he's going to be disappointed.
For sure. I mean, there were a lot of fans here today showing up for HoJun, honoring his return to the Kartrider Drift League. And definitely, as you see his face, he looks composed right now. He's just nodding to himself. He knows he can play just so great when he's at his peak. So I'm sure we will see some potential comebacks from him.
Yeah, and I think he got 4th place on that track, if I'm not mistaken. And if you go all the way back and you remember the beginning of the race, he had that terrible blunder where it was just a little bit too wide. Maybe it was a collision, maybe it was a bad angle, and that cost him so much time to be able to recover from that 8th place, and then over the course of the next 1.5 laps, work your way back to top 4. He's got to be feeling good about that performance.
For sure. You know, you can see the fans for Moon HoJun again, you know, flashing his name whenever they can. HoJun, Moon, that's his last name. And of course, NEAL, as we look at him, this is a player that definitely has been showing himself so far today in the solo mode matches. You know, NEAL having been the meta setter, I'm sure that he's going to show us a lot of interesting plays that a lot of other players are going to take notes on.
Absolutely. NEAL, widely considered a genius among the Korean Kartrider players, as he often has very innovative and creative not only play but builds, as he's going to try and start a new legacy here in Kartrider Drift. So many fans showing up for Perfect, for everybody.
Player perfect. I heard everything about you is perfect, so show me a perfect match today, and my day will also be perfect.
What a nice message.
That was deep.
Yeah, we've got a creative audience. I mean, the wordplay, the artistic talent, just everything is so beautiful here.
Wow,
love to
Penguin Squad.
Love to see the community come out in support of the scene, of Kartrider Drift, of the players. It just warms my heart, man.
And we have a fan asking, Seung-Yong-Jun, aka Knock, are you a deer? You are knocking my heart out. You know, he's knocking my heart out too. You know, these close drifts that he's been showing so far, you know, absolutely keeping me on the edge.
I love these cheer pumps, man. It's such a treat to have a live audience like this. You know,
For sure.
COVID-19 years ago kind of robbed us of this for what felt like years, and now to have the audience here as we go to Glacier Extreme Stadium, feeling the energy here in this room, it is explosive.
The race of round 4 in Group B is coming to a start as we see HoJun, NEAL, and Gar leading the pack in that 1-2-3 position. Looking really great right now. Wave definitely getting that rank 3 position in. Looking great for SUNGBIN as well.
And NEAL, once again, towards the top of the pack, constantly, consistently getting between rank 1 and rank 3 for the last couple of tracks. Now he's going to fall down to rank 4 as I curse him and have a bad collision. Oh, God.
Oh, no. You know, State, you're cursing a lot of people today, it feels like.
It's always the favorites, man. I gotta shut up. But all right, not coming in here. Some nice drifts as he's going to be rounding out the top 3 here. SUNGBIN right behind him as well as Perfect. Perfect can be hungry for those points to try and climb the ladder as we come into the hairpin turns.
Right, I mean, Knock is building quite a lead over NEAL in the positional standings right now. And NEAL, he was the first point group leader, as well as Knock being right behind him at 3rd place. So Knock, if he can keep up this lead, it's going to be huge for him.
And SUNGBIN once again in 1st place. The pack behind him is very dense, very tight. A lot of players gunning for that 2nd to 4th place spot. Will anyone be able to pass SUNGBIN though? I mean, look at this distance that he has created between himself and HoJun.
I mean, SUNGBIN is just looking absolutely flawless right now as we have 3 players behind him very close, and Knock, HoJun, and Percent trying to look for the angle, the window of opportunity
HoJun's getting closer and closer with each trip, though it feels like there's a little bit of a collision there with Knock is going to slow him down just a bit. We're here on the final nap, getting ready for the next hairpin turns, and if you're going to make a play, this is probably where it's going to happen.
SUNGBIN looking still good. He's keeping up the beautiful drifts and the momentum. Knock and HoJun still being right behind him with 400 meters left. Percent coming into play as well. What is going to happen?
Only a few hundred meters left to go. SUNGBIN's going to barely finish ahead of Knock with perfect in percent, rounding out the top 4. HoJun finishing in 5th and NEAL in 6th as SUNGBIN continues his dominance here. Some more fantastic play, and man, look at that confidence. What a quick map selection coming out of him. Didn't even have to think about it.
SUNGBIN already knows what he wants. That level of confidence is great to see. And SUNGBIN was sitting at 2nd place behind NEAL at 1st place, but NEAL also having finished this race at 6th place. It's going to do a lot of damage to his rank standings. As we see, SUNGBIN, now he is the leader.
Yeah, SUNGBIN padding that lead quite a bit now. 29 score in total, and you got to think that, I mean, from that position, you're almost a lock to get that top 4, even if these next few races don't particularly go your way. But behind them, the middle of the field, it's very competitive right now. There are a lot of players gunning for those top 4 spots, and every single one of them is fighting for their solo tournament life, because the bottom half of this group, they are eliminated from the solo portion of this event. And it's such an intense field of players. I mean, you want to get top 4. You want to make it, because you know that you're going to prove not only to yourself, not only to the fans, but the whole community that you have what it takes to be a top player in this new game.
Especially in a group like Group B, where all the talent pools have gathered. It's important, there's a lot of difference between playing in a group of players that may have not had enough experiences as you on these stages, between, fighting pretty much the best of the best and proving yourself that you're able to keep up in pace with them.
Let's see the intense looks of focus on all these players right now.
Very focused. It's like almost like they're meditating, getting their composure in.
There's a lot of tension in the room. You can feel it.
For sure. As right now it seems we are going to be ready for a new match soon, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen.
All right, Village, Boom Hill Tunnel will be the map. Who will win this time? It's exciting to see Boom Hill Tunnel here in solo speed, as we haven't gotten too much of a chance to see this in team play. And this section right here on the map, if you're a new player here in Kartwright or Drift, it's a really wide roundabout that's a perfect place for you just to practice your mechanics. Get down, you're drifting, and eventually get up to the level of these guys right here, as we have a very tight field coming into this tunnel. SUNGBIN once again in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, one important thing to note is that Knock, who is the 2nd place in the overall point standings, is sitting at 6th place right now, so Knock definitely needs to recover. There's only 1 lap, although it is going to be a long track.
Yeah, and Sungwoo with some bad play right there, going to fall all the way down to rank 8. Things not going his way, as NEAL now contesting that top spot. But look at this pack behind him. It is so dense. Percent hot on his heels. Wave and Perfect right behind him, both with 2 nitrous in the bank, as they're going to try and use that to come through with a pack.
NEAL, Perfect Percent, definitely players that we are seeing quite often leading the pack, sitting at around 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, HoJun coming in is going to be huge for him, because HoJun is a player that is not in top 4 right now, and he really needs to recover the points fast.
Yeah, all right. A little bit of tricky turns coming in. Will there be too many collisions? Looks like most players able to navigate that small corridor quickly. Nice turns coming in. 400 meters to the finish line. NEAL in first with Percent right behind him. Both players boosting, but NEAL will get the better of the trade, and he's going to finish in first.
Yeah, we have NEAL, Percent, and Wave, followed by HoJun, Knock, Perfect, Guard, and SUNGBIN. And SUNGBIN is a player that was sitting at first in the point standing, so this is going to be a very, very difficult position for him now, because he finished last place.
Well, he had a little bit of padding right there in first place, so this isn't the worst case scenario. Keep in mind that he's mostly gunning for that top 4 spot. That's what matters here. So that race, not quite going his way, gonna lose 1 point in total, but I think probably still in the top 4 is, he's actually still in 2nd place with only a 3-point gap between him and NEAL, which just goes to show how well he's been doing up until this point.
Right.
I mean, I think you just take that one on your shoulder. It's like, okay, I messed up. That happens. Let's move on to the next track.
the consistency really paying off, because it makes it so that even if you get 8th place in one of the tracks, it's still okay because you have already built yourself such a gigantic point lead, and SUNGBIN definitely being that consistent player here so far today.
Yeah, NEAL being quite consistent as well. I mean, he had a bit of a reputation before in Kart Rider as being a player with ups and downs, with incredible peaks. But so far today, Kart Rider Drift, he's been looking solid, consistently contesting top spots as we're going to go to winding slopes for the next track.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering the round 6 of Group B. This is going to be a really action-packed map yet again, because there will be only one left.
Yep, can only get one go of things here in the winding slopes. We're passing all these gems coming through these nice sweeping turns. HoJun right now trying to work his way through the pack. You see him contesting from 7th place, taking tight lines. Gonna try and close the distance, guard perfect, and not rounding out the top 3 right now.
You know, the 4th place in the standings is percent sitting at 24 points, so that is setting quite a high wall for all these players.
Yeah, bad collision there for HoJun's gonna have him fall all the way down to 7th place right now is perfect. Solidifies his lead with knock on his tail. Wave's gonna try and close the distance, excuse me. Nice pre-turn there coming into this tunnel.
Perfect, looking absolutely perfect in this lap so far. You know, Knock and Wave are the only 2 players with a real chance to try to put a spot on his perfect record.
Always a scary moment trying to wind through those support beams, but our top 3 racers navigating it beautifully here as Perfect maintains his lead. But look at Knock, just seems like he's ready to strike.
Oh, he was ready to strike, but Perfect still maintaining a nice lead as we're going into the last 400 meters of the race. Perfect, wow, look at his speed.
Yep, some phenomenal speed coming out of Perfect. Handles those last lines to defend his position very well. They're gonna secure the rank 1 spot here on winding slopes. So we'll be able to choose the next map. Wave, Knock, and NEAL, rounding out the top 4 behind him.
I mean, that was really great. I mean, players are definitely showing up today. They're making a group right now between themselves, the players who have been the most consistent today so far, because these point gaps are huge right now. It's like more than 10 points to try to catch up into the top 5 even.
Yeah, and I want to see the standings right now. Okay. It's not looking good for Wave, HoJun, or Guard. I mean, we have at perhaps maybe 2 maps left. I kind of doubt we're going to see 3 maps left with 3 players above 30 points. So really what's in contention right now is top 4 versus, you know, finishing in 5th, finishing in 6th.
Right. I mean, that area right now is really close, being separated by only 4 to 5 points. So these last 2 or 3 tracks are definitely going to be a match setter. Players looking to finish at the top of the position whenever possible.
Yeah, it's going to be a hotly contested field here coming into the final few maps we have today here in solo speed. These players warming their hands, trying those palms. You got to know the nerves might be hitting them here on stage with their solo tournament life on the line.
I mean, you definitely have to be composed here now more so than ever. Everyone has done great so far, and they need to keep it up as we move into the map World Tour Rio de Janeiro.
Everybody antsy to take off here as the countdown starts on this one lapper. We'll see who gets the advantage out of the gate coming in.
Wave, Percent, and Guard looking great so far as they want to continue on this lead once again.
NEAL kind of taking the path less traveled right there, the only one to go on the right side.
Got punished big time for that. Now he's sitting at 5th. Okay,
I kind of like this actually. Working his way into the middle of the pack right now. I mean, this is NEAL's comfort zone. He's going to be able to make a play right now. Is almost working his way almost to 1st place. HoJun right now leading the charge. If HoJun wants to contest one of those top 4 spots, he needs a really big game here. But no, another bad collision there. Getting caught on the wall is going to drop him all the way down to 8th place.
These walls and turns are so tricky and they just keep coming. So drifting is right now key of importance as we enter a soccer field where players were able to get out with 0 problems.
Yeah, as the field starts to thin out a little bit later in the track, you have a little bit more freedom to maneuver, but oftentimes early in the races, like we just saw there with HoJun, there's just so much traffic that it's difficult to find and navigate a successful path forward, as we see 3 racers here, NEAL, NOC, and Wave, all contesting the top
500
spots.
Only 400 meters left now as NEAL and NOC still leading the charge, and it seems like NEAL is going to be able to lock in that first place finish, followed by NOC, Wave, SUNGBIN, Guard, and Perfect.
Yeah, and NEAL with just another race there, instant selection on the next map. He's got to be feeling good, all but assured that he will be advancing to the next round with another first place finish.
And it's important to note that Percent and is definitely trying to make it into that top 4 position. And players like NEAL, who have been so consistent today, are definitely making it really hard to do so.
Yeah, NEAL's just been playing out of his mind. I mean, the consistency we're seeing out of him, even if he's not winning every track, it feels like he has a shot for most of the time. And that's why we see right here on the board, 45 points in total, 6 ahead of second place.
Right, so we saw rank 4 had 31 points, while rank 5 had 23 points. So given that you need a 9-point difference to catch up, you are basically relying on the fact that you are going to get close to top 3, while the rank 4 position is going to get pretty much like 8th place. That's your best case scenario. So this map is going to decide a lot for our players here.
Yeah, it's going to be a critical map here for those players in the midfield. Perfect is going to need a great run here if he's going to try and come back and secure that top 4 track spot. Everyone here gunning for those playoffs. They want to advance to the next round, as Facility 5 is the next map.
This here is round 8, and this is potentially the last round we could have, because NEAL is only 5 points away from victory. But actually NEAL, he's sitting at 8th place right now, giving other players some hope.
Yeah, and if NEAL doesn't finish with 5+ points, then we might go to another track, because you only get 10th first place, and the next 2 are NOC sitting at 39 and SUNGBIN sitting at 35. So keep an eye on NEAL to see where he decides to place. And this one, we come in here for some tricky turns, everyone able to navigate it successfully, but NEAL, he wants to close this one out, man. Already in top 4 as he's making a great comeback.
I mean, definitely he wants to just finish here strong and get that first place for himself. So
man,
he is sitting at 2nd place.
Yeah, working all his way back to 2nd place after a not perfect start for him.
Wow, now first place, NEAL definitely showing why he is the leader of this group so far. NOC and Percent trying to throw him off, but there's only one left.
Yep. Nice navigation right there of that shortcut, taking a very tight turn on this one lapper. NEAL continuing to hold first place, doing his best to prevent Percent from taking any aggressive lines that might pass him. As NEAL, he's in first place. He's going to the next round no matter what already, but you can tell that he is a fighter. He's a competitor. He wants to win this track too.
Percent got a little bit of a better of a line there, giving him a little close-up, but there's only 300 meters left, and if NEAL, he's just going to go ahead and finish first, meaning this will be the final round.
Yep, that's going to be it, and unless I'm mistaken, I think we've had our top 4 decided here, as we're going to wait and see those final standings. But man, altogether, a phenomenal performance from NEAL, coming into this group as one of the favorites and delivering to a T.
Right, I mean, the only global player here in the Kart Rider Drift League, definitely showing why he is fearsome, the player that everyone should watch out for. He was at the top of consistency today.
Yeah, just fantastic performance out of NEAL, winning a ton of races over here in the solo speed mode and living up to what he said earlier before we got started, that top pick 4 will probably be even harder than qualifying here with a 55 score. And NEAL, NOC, SUNGBIN, and Perfect will be your 4 players advancing to the next round. Percent just not able to close that distance.
Right, Percent, Wave, HoJun, Guard unfortunately gets knocked out, so they will no longer be able to advance to the round of 16. But they, I feel like, still showed a really good showing today. You know, they were up there in the top 3 at times, so they really showed that they are still really good at Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, this was a very competitive field here in Group B, as often it is. Everyone here has something to prove in the preseason here of the KDL. They want to start this year strong. They want to start this game strong. So we see our victors once again there on the bottom of the screen. NEAL, NOC, SUNGBIN, and Perfect with some stunning performances, especially coming out of NEAL. I mean, the global community has to be so proud of him today.
For sure. I mean, this Group B was absolutely a challenge to be faced with, but our players here just was able to tackle it in such a perfect way, and they look very composed right now, look satisfied with themselves, and I'm sure these players, especially Perfect, he was indeed perfect today.
Yeah. What a great run by all these guys. And what a fantastic opening weekend here for Kartrider Drift. I mean, Peter, it's been a thrill to cast with you, exploring this new game. It's been such a pleasure, as it feels like the content just keeps getting better. Every race keeps getting better. The players are so strong, and, you know, this is the starting point.
Right?
It's only going to get better from here, man.
You know, just like Kartrider Drift, it's very important that you get a good start, and that is definitely what we are getting here today as we see the results being finalized once again for you guys to see. We have NEAL, Nox, SUNGBIN, Perfect, all being above that 30-point range. They were really consistent today, and Percent, of course, he was so close with that 28 points.
Yeah, Percent so close, just 7 points behind Perfect. Gotta be a tough round for him to go out on, but you know, I'm happy with the top 4 that we have. Everybody has been racing phenomenally, and you know, the round of 16 is gonna be a very competitive field.
I mean, it's basically, we've already had such an intense round of 32, and round of 16 is exactly like an even more competitive version of that. So it's really cool to see that as our solo modes go on, they will get even more competitive and tight, and I'm so excited to see what our players can show us.
Yeah, and it's a new game too. The players are going to be getting better as well as time progresses. So
right.
Not only are we taking the best of the best, but the best is getting better. So just a thrilling moment here for Kartrider Esports. We're so happy to have you guys with us at the beginning of this journey. It's been such a privilege.
For sure. I mean, this is definitely making me want to go home and play some Kartrider Drift tonight and see if I can even look 1% of what these guys are showing us on the screen.
I'll blunder my first drift into a corner and just cry myself to sleep.
Yeah.
Why can't I be like NEAL?
Teach me, NEAL. Maybe I need to learn from his, you know, builds, especially the 6062 and the different variations coming out. It's been a pleasure to get to know what our pros have been preferring in this meta.
Yeah, the tried and true 6062 delivering for a lot of players here this weekend is it's just been a fantastic day of Kartrider Drift, fantastic opening weekend. Can't wait. I mean, we have 5 more weeks of Kartrider action in this preseason, and the future is bright for Kartrider Global Esports.
Yeah, there are so many new maps also for Kartrider Drift League. I know we were talking about earlier how detailed and beautiful some of these maps were, and I'm glad to see we got to see more of them today.
Yeah, the maps are a lot of fun. The map design, it's not just, you know, the turns, it's not just all the different features of the map, but they truly look beautiful, you know? It's just like the atmosphere within this game is such a thrill. I love playing it because, you know, at my speed, when I'm racing, I go really slow. I get to appreciate the sights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I also like to take it slow and sometimes just take a look at the beautiful scenery sometimes. But of course, our players haven't had that opportunity today because everything was on the rankings for them. They couldn't just, you know, simply just decide to look, oh, a beautiful sunset and just stop and take a look.
Yeah, and NEAL especially looking very strong today in the solo group.
Yeah, I mean, NEAL definitely, I feel like when players are hyped up sometimes, it's hard to live up to it because usually when a player is hyped up, it's because they have such a great history that follows it, and it's really hard to constantly repeat these victories over and over again, especially with such a large group of talents making it so competitive.
Yeah, the team's also looking very strong as well. I was surprised by how well Aura played in their match earlier today against Planet. I mean, that was, to me, the biggest takeaway from this weekend is, okay, it might not just be, you know, the freaks that are going to be up there at the top. There's potential for some upheaval. Some of these underdogs might come through and win this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we all love underdogs. We love it when a team is able to come in without much expectations, but surprise everyone by showing such a great performance. And Aura definitely was able to do that today. And Planet, you know, they are the underdogs, but they also have a lot of great players. So I'm sure that they'll be showing us more great action as we get deeper into the Kartrider Drift League.
Yeah, and keep in mind there in the item mode there against Aura, it felt like every single race they were losing by the thinnest margin at the last possible moment. So they certainly showed a lot of potential there in item mode. But I mean, That's part of the game, you know? You got to take that on the shoulder. You got to learn from it and come back next week stronger than ever.
Yeah, I actually met the players of Planet in the bathroom during a break earlier, and they did definitely seem disappointed. You know, they were talking amongst themselves saying, man, that speedboat match was really close. It could have gone either way, and just really just reliving it constantly, just knowing that they were this close to being able to have another chance today by going into the ace matches.
Yeah, no ace matches so far here yet, but I'm sure we'll get those eventually as, got to live up to the hype. And I like what you said about the team, like in the bathroom, just kind of talking about their loss and working through the problems that they went with and just kind of digesting everything, because you kind of got to do that post-mortem and understand, where you failed, where you succeeded, what you can improve on if you truly want to be one of the best of the best.
Right, and speaking of the best, yesterday, Liv Sandbox so far living up to be the team to beat, the best of the best team that we always look at and try to learn from. And of course, there was Guangdong Freaks, who they stated as being one of their biggest rivals and one of the most likely teams to make it to the finals with them. And of course, Guangdong Freaks having showed a fantastic showing, that rivalry is definitely continuing to build up.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Sandbox versus the Freaks. I'm excited to see the Freaks versus Aura. There are so many more matches left to be played here in the KDL. I mean, this is only weekend number 1 of 6 weeks of kart rider action, but that's, including the playoffs. So a lot of thrilling action heading your way. Make sure that you get the word out. Go on social media, go on Twitter, go on MySpace, whatever the kids are using these days. Get people to tune in. There is global coverage here for Kart Rider Drift Esports. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, it's just KDL Global on Twitch, YouTube, Africa TV. We are live on many platforms to make sure that the global audience can also join in with us to experience the pleasure of just the results of all these players finally seeing their practice on Kart Rider Drift coming to play. Just coming from a mobile game like Kart Rider Rush Plus, as well as the original Kart Rider, it must be completely new and really hard to adapt, especially given that they've only had a couple months to prepare.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have players coming out of retirement to compete in Kart Rider Drift as well, It's kind of a big moment here for esports as we get a little bit of the preview of the matches. Go ahead, take it away, Peter.
All right, we have a match 5 of Sensation and Aura, the team that we were looking forward to going against another giant. And then match 6 is going to be Planet versus Finale Esports. These two teams haven't had a great showing yet, so they will try to be the one at least above the other, followed by match 7 Reboot versus ROX.
Yeah, going to be some thrilling matches. I think Sensation versus Aura is probably the one that I'm most looking forward to here. I think that's going to be the headliner for me. I cannot wait to watch those matches and see what these teams bring to the table. Of course, Sensation had a rough loss against Liv Esports, but they are a great team. And guys, that's going to be it for us today. We will be back 7 p.m. KST on Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.